limited number. I've had it for 9 years. When we first talked about this seminar, we talked about having an opportunity to sit down with a limited number of people and talk in depth about trading in the pit rather than trading off of the screen. It's something that I guess I know a lot about because I've been doing it for a long time, and I've always been lucky enough to make money. Today is the 4th day in a row I've lost money. I think that's the first time in about 6 years I've lost money 4 days in a row. So I'm not in a good mood. So I'm not entertaining any questions. I'm not repeating myself, so don't ask me to repeat anything. Now, I was thinking about this. I took a shower before I came up here. And you know, I'm crying a little bit when I get done with that. I started thinking, do I want to be a good loser? And just as an aside, and I don't really have a prepared speech, okay? So I'll talk about commodities and commodities trade. But one thing that I don't want to be is a good loser. I don't think anybody in this room wants to be a good loser. And I don't think anybody that wants to succeed in the pit wants to be a good loser. I don't think there's no value to walking down the hall and having guys look at you and say, boy, that son of a bitch, he's a good loser. You know that? He doesn't get upset. He likes to lose. He smiles. He's a good loser. That's the alpha school of trading, and I don't buy it. Nobody wants to lose, and nobody wants to be a good loser. Now, there's a difference between being a rotten loser and being mean to your dog or mean to your kids when you lose, and being dishonorable because you're losing. And I hope, particularly in these times, that everybody in this room, if you're going to trade in a pit, I hope everybody in this room makes a commitment. Please, please, don't be a goddamn thief, okay? There's plenty of money that goes around. It's the best business in the world. When I think about it, brokers, particularly brokers in the United States Treasury Bond Board of Trade, make more money with less risk than anybody in the nation except for those guys in Florida with cigarette boats. And I don't think anybody in here has to be dishonorable in trading. And we're in a new era now. I think there was a time when I liked being a commodities trader, and when people said, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm a commodities trader. I liked that because there was a veil of secrecy that surrounded the Board of Trade. And everybody knew that we risked millions every day and all that bullshit. And they didn't know exactly what we did, but they were fascinated by the fact that we were commodities traders. I know that when I was down in Florida about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I told John Musso, who's here, he should be giving this class. I told John Musso, a fella asked me in Florida what I did for a living for the first time in my life. Instead of saying, geez, I'm a commodities trader at the Board of Trade, I went, geez, I'm in investments. Okay, so this is a new era. And not to preach at you, but please, let's be honorable. I mean, you can take your lumps, and even if you blow out, let's blow out honorably. And if you blow out honorably, I'm sure there are enough guys down here that have made enough money that you can come back and talk and get away and back into the business. Don't burn any bridges when you leave, if you ever leave, and please don't do anything in the pit that's going to affect all of us. Because I think some of the craft that's going on, particularly at the Merc, I can say that because I'm on the board, okay? I think it's going to affect all of us. And I don't like the idea of standing in a pit and not knowing if the guy next to me is a team. I don't like that. I don't like the way the business has evolved. And one thing, when you die, I guess, when you die, all you want to be able to do is you want to say, well, I was an honorable guy, okay? Because it doesn't make any difference how much money you have, because you can't take it with you. And really, nobody gives a damn after it's all said and done. And we've always said this up in the office. After everything is said and done, it's style rather than substance. If you went down with class, that means a hell of a lot more. If you lose money on a trade, I think it means a hell of a lot more because in 6 months, no matter how much you lost in that particular trade, you're not even going to remember the trade, okay? So style rather than substance. That's my sermon, and I mean harp on it, but I'm kind of upset about all the crap that's going on. And I hate publicity. So when they said, let's have a seminar about trading commodities, there were really only 4 things that I wanted to talk about. And if you understand these 4 things, I think everybody in here can be a commodities trader. Okay, and these are real basics, and unfortunately I can talk about any one of these areas for 5 hours at a time, but I'm going to try and cover all 4 sections. As I go, if you have a question, please just pop your hand up, okay, and we'll stop. Let's start at the beginning. People in here I see have varying degrees of experience. Okay, some of the people are established traders, and a lot of you, I suppose, are brand new traders. Is there anybody who hasn't traded yet, hasn't traded one lot? Okay. Anybody that's traded less than 6 months? Okay. Good. We'll trade with you guys. Anybody that's traded And incidentally, it's not a zero-sum total game, okay? For every winner, there's not a loser. That's not the way it goes. They're professional hedgers that use our market. It's not a zero-sum total game. But there's only so much that you can take out of every pit. And you divide that by the number of locals in the pit, okay? So the more locals in a pit, the more that pie has to be divided up. So when people say, geez, it's zero-sum total game, you know, for every winner there's a loser, that's baloney. That's not true. But when you go into a pit, you're taking money out of the mouths of the guys that you stand next to. So understand when you go into a pit if the guy next to you doesn't say, geez, it's nice to see you, thanks for coming, and all that other stuff, because to a certain extent, you know, you're costing them Mercedes. So, 4 things about commodities trading. We'll start with the first one, okay? And most of you are already established, but I think given the way the world is right now, and given the way trade is, we want to look at this again. We want to talk about choosing the right pit, okay? Number 2, and this is probably the most important thing we'll cover, we want to talk about how to get trades. Number 3, and I think the risk managers would probably say this is most important, we want to talk about taking a loss. Number 4, we want to talk about something I like to talk about, is taking a profit. Okay, so 4 things. How do you choose the right pit? Things are different than they were in terms of the pits. In choosing the right pit right now, I think the first thing you have to zero in on is open interest. When I glance at this, as you know, at the Board of Trade, the biggest open interest is in the bonds. Open interest means that there are a lot of players in the marketplace, and there's room for you to go in there and make a living, okay? When there's a big open interest, if something dramatic happens and the market rallies, the shorts will cover, the longs will buy. Things happen. If the market breaks, the shorts will press it, the longs will get out, and things happen, as long as there's open interest. In looking at that, if I were a new trader, the pits I'd look at the Board of Trade would be the bond pit, the bond options pit, the 10-year note pit, as some of the guys in this room know very well, the 5-year pit, which has a great open interest, and then some of the green pits. The green pits that I think I probably like the best, and I think you probably have the best chance of making money in right away, in my opinion, are the meal and oil pits. And I'm one of the few guys, I think, on the bond side, John Muso's another one, that has had an opportunity to trade them up on the grain side too. They're different trades, there's no question about it. I like to think of the grain trade as kind of a man's trade. But I think there's more money on the financial side. So when you choose a pit, think about open interest, think about volatility. Right now, the big play, everybody's talking about the Eurodollar pit. They've got an open interest, I think, now that exceeds $1 million. I know they've got a lot of days where they've had a 5-tick range, and I think they're playing for $25 ticks. Open interest in a situation like that isn't quite as important as volatility. Make sure you go into a pit where there's volatility. Because one of the things we're going to talk about is how does somebody get a trade? Because you can be the nicest guy in the world and bid and offer all day long, but if you're not getting trades, you're not making a living. And if that pit isn't moving, if the bid isn't changing and the offer isn't changing, you're not going to get trades, in my opinion. So this pertains primarily to the bond pit. I think one of the things you really have to think about when you choose a pit is availability of a reasonable position. Our bond pit, speaking frankly, is a little bit like a monopoly board. Some of the squares in there, some of the positions in there are boardwalk and park place. Some of them are the greens, some are the yellows, and the spots down in the middle for the guys that don't spread and try and trade the front month are a little bit like standing on Baltic and Mediterranean. I'm a firm believer in the fact that a spot makes the man rather than a man makes the spot. We've got all kinds of players that want to get into the bond pit, all kinds of houses, all kinds of cash arbitrage guys, all kinds of spec houses, all kinds of funds. There's plenty of paper coming into the pit from all angles. If you stand in a good spot and you're a one-lot trader and you can get over the bumps and the grinds, you'll very quickly become a 50-lot trader. And we'll talk a little bit about the difference in profitability between one-lot traders and 50-lot traders. Okay. terms of choosing a pit, one of the things that I think is terribly important is you've got to get a pit where you can get a position that's meaningful. I think for all intents and purposes, the bond pit during the day is an awfully hard place to go. And how many guys in here trade bonds? Pretty big percentage. I think you know if you're down in the shithole, it's hard to get trades. And it's hard for people to see you. But I think there's something even more important than that. We talk about this a lot in the office. We talk about sight angles. There was an old thing in the grain room, people used to say, you know, we used to bring those orders down in the middle of the pit, in the bean pit, and you could stand down in the middle of that bean pit and get all the people you wanted, and you could trade like crazy. Well, I tell you what, I traded in the middle of the bean pit, and I was an idiot. And any bean trader that tells you, or any grain trader that tells you, you don't need to stand on the top step to be a good trader, the answer to that is bullshit. You have to stand on the top step, or as close to the top of the pit as you can get. For one reason and one reason only, it has to do with sight angles. I guess when I've messed around with it, I think we can probably understand what goes on in an area which encompasses a field of about 90 degrees, okay? So if I'm standing near the top of a pit and I have a field of about 90 degrees, I can't see the whole pit, but if I do this, I can see the whole pit. Now, as we talk about trading today, you're going to understand that one of the most important things you can do in the pit is you have to know what goes on. You can't be an idiot. You can't be there offering fives, and not seeing all the locals on the other side getting loaded up at 5, ready to go 5 bid, 6 bid, 7 bid. You have to know what's going on. One of the ways you know what's going on is we follow an open outcry system. We're supposed to know what trades. And don't ever be afraid to ask anybody, what in the world traded up there? What traded? Because they're supposed to tell you, okay? It's not a secret. And just as an aside, this is not a business for weak people. You have to be able to yell and you have to be able to shout. Don't be afraid to ask what went on. Okay, so we're talking about sight angles. I'm on the top step. I can see a field of about 90 degrees. I can see most of what goes on in this pit. I basically know what's happening. I know what's happening with the spreaders. I know what's happening in the back months. I can even see a little bit into the other pits, and I can see what's going on in the other pits. Take that same guy and move him down 4 steps. Here's my field of vision, okay? Everything that transpires behind me, I can't see. So here I am trying to be a scalper, trying to follow all the rules. 6 bid at 7, which I don't believe in, and we'll talk about that, okay? 6 bid at 7, 6 bid at 7. I'll do anything you want, okay? And if I sell 7s, I'll scratch them, and I'll scratch forever. And then when I go to the jewel store, I tell them I scratched all my trades today, but I can't pay for my groceries. So. When you step down 4 steps, your sight angle is about like this. You can't see what goes on behind you. And when you look out this way, you can't see what's happening in the corners either. You've got to be able to see that pit. So you've got to be able to go into a pit where you can see. Now, along those same lines, when you walk into a pit, where's a good place to stand? A good place to stand in a pit is that area where the locals that drive the nicest cars and make the most money stand. Because one thing I think you'll find out the longer you're in this business is nobody comes up with anything new. Everything that's been done by you, everything that's been done by the guy that started 6 months before you has been done 1,000 times before. And there really aren't too many new twists to making money when you're in a pit. So what you want to do, I think, and I guess it's kind of a cop-out for me to say this, I think the best way for anybody to become a good trader is to become a copycat, okay? You watch good traders and you copy what they do. You don't necessarily dress the way they dress or talk the way they talk, but you stand in a position as close to the position they stand in. You watch them when they sell it, and they bid for it right away. Geez, he sold it and covered. Why? He sold it and offered more. Why? He sold it at 5 and offered 4. Why? If it was me, it's because I was willing to sell it. Okay. You want to know what the big boys are doing. Okay. Big dogs have it made. Follow big dogs. When you go into a new pit, when you choose a pit, make sure you can get a position in that pit that closely approximates the position of big dogs. Now, again, the reason for that I think is fairly self-explanatory. Nobody reinvents the wheel on a regular basis. I mean, we're pit scalpers or scalp beggars. 6 forward, please. Sell it at 7, please. Okay. There's not much you can do to maximize your income other than stand in the right spot and be disciplined. We'll talk about all that other stuff. All I'm saying is, when you choose a pit, make sure you can choose a pit where you can stand where the big dogs stand. In my opinion, without giving out any secrets, because everybody knows this, You can walk around, and I think there's certain pits you can see where it's easier for you to get in a position to stand where the big money makers stand. Now, I guess we trade 200,000 a day probably on average in the pound pit. I think in the note pit they're probably trading 25,000 a day. And in the 5 year, I don't know, does anybody trade the 5 year? 5 or 6,000? Okay. When I started down here in Nixon was president, so 72. When I started down here in 80, we traded the bond pit, and there were probably maybe 60 locals. And we traded 10 or 12,000 a day. And I can remember the first day we traded 25,000 in the bond pit, everybody threw their cards in the air. That was a big deal, we traded 25,000 contracts. We had more people in the bond pit than they have in the note pit right now, and we certainly had more people in the bond pit than they had in the 5 year pit. And our open interest didn't come anywhere close to the open interest of seeing those pits. So I don't think the opportunity for making money at the Board of Trade is going on. A lot of people say, God, we weren't on the wagon, we didn't get to trade bonds when bonds first started. Can we make any money down here? I think your opportunities far exceed the opportunities we had. I know your upfront lease expenses are high. I think people are paying probably $3,000 a month to lease a seat. When I started, we paid $2,600 a month, so it isn't that much different. I think there's opportunity. Once again, just choose the right pit. Make sure when you choose that pit that you can get in a spot in the pit that gives you an opportunity to trade. There just isn't any advantage to being down in a hole when you're trading. We'll talk a little bit about getting trades and how important it is to be in the right spot and see the right things, okay? I don't think there's any advantage to going into a pit where you can't play right away, where you can't be in a position to do as much as the next guy, okay? When I look at the meal pit and the oil pit, you can go to the meal pit and the oil pit and stand right next to the most successful trader in the pit, stand this close to him, okay? Probably get hit in the ribs about 5 times when you do it, but you can stand right next to him, and theoretically that means you're starting on an even keel, with the exception of capitalization. Capitalization was the next thing I was going to talk about in terms of choosing the pit. There's two things to think about in terms of capitalization. A scalper doesn't need very much money, okay? And I use the term scalper in kind of a loose sense, not in an ever-clip kind of a way. Ever-clip is the guy that runs alpha trading and probably is the best guy at the Board of Trade, I think, in terms of teaching new traders, next to Scott, in terms of teaching new traders how to trade and trade with discipline. Everett's from the school of 6 bid at 7. If I buy 6, 6,000, 1,000, 2,000, I'm out. Okay, let's go on to the next trade. Everett has a whole bunch of alpha traders that have come down to the Board of Trade and made a lot of money. Everett doesn't have any alpha traders that have come down to the Board of Trade recently and made any money. But Everett is the guy that taught everybody, what it really meant to be a scalper. And I know if any of you have ever had occasion to visit day poker, let's say in the morning, which I have on occasion, okay? We talk a little bit about the whole concept of scalping. Now, every trade is a new at-bat, and every day is a new inning, and God, I used to be with, I can give you that speech from David, but I won't. Okay? Anyways, capitalization. When you come down here, you have to worry about enough money to get into a pit. Period. End of discussion if you're a scalper, okay? Capitalization counts if you're going to go into an options pit, and you got to start financing positions. Okay, so just keep in mind in choosing the right pit, what's your capitalization look like? And for most of us, I think that started out, my capitalization, right there, whatever I had in my pocket, basically what I had. And I think I have to bore you with those stories, but when I started that, I remember I had enough for first 3 months on my lease. And John Ruth asked me to put $3,000 in my account. I said, you bet I'll bring the check in as soon as I sell some foreign stock, which takes a long time to clear on the exchange. At the end of 2.5 months, John came down to the pit and said, Charlie, I'd like to talk to you about trading. CIE risk and all that other stuff, but you've only done about 6 trades. And it was true. For the first 2.5 months I was down here, I didn't do anything. I came down, I was a former Harris banker. And I started in the bond pit, and I used to wear 3-piece suits to the Harris. When I came down here, I wore a 3-piece suit. I took off my jacket, and I had my vest on, and I buttoned I go over a coat like this over it, and I spit in the pit. And then he goes 6 bid, and I go, yep. He goes 7 sellers, and I get the 7 sellers. And about once a week, I couldn't stand it anymore, and I buy one, and I keep it for a day. And when I get out of it. And it was the end of about 2.5 months. I've been down about 2.5 months. And for me, the whole concept of scalping was incredibly tough. Just, I didn't know why you had to sell it when you bought sixes. Because I can remember it'd be 6 bid for 500 and 10 would be offered at 7. And all of a sudden, Plaza would come in and sell 1,000 at 6 and sell 500 at 5 and 500 at 4. And the one lot that I bought at 6, which I thought was the greatest deal ever, was a 3-tick loser, where I'd sell one at 7 and there'd be 500 bid, and before you know it, I'd take a profit on it and plug the hell out of it. I became a spreader. And that was back in the days when tax laws were different. And there was an incentive for people to use contract months within the front month. I don't think we'll ever see those opportunities again. But we're going to talk about spreading too. Okay. All right. Enough about choosing a pit. Does everybody know what pit you want to trade in now? Okay. Yeah, I'll tell you, if anybody has any questions about pits, individual pits, and you don't have anybody to ask, come and ask me, because I think I know people in most pits, and I can talk, to you a little bit about individual pits. I think that's the best way to go. I would say this. I think anybody that comes into the bond pit during the day right now is looking up at that dog's ass. Okay? I think the bond pit at night is an opportunity, although I understand the volatility is kind of come out of that market a little bit. But I think anybody that comes into the bond pit during the day right now is really asking for trouble. I mean, I think you're trying to climb a tough mountain. I guess the ways to do it, we can talk about that if anybody wants to handle it on an individual basis. I think it's tough to start. Because like I said, it's on the monopoly board there. And the man doesn't make the spot makes the man. Okay. Enough about pits. Okay, we're all commodities traders. We're in a pit. We got in there. Incidentally, when we started down in the South Group, a lot of you guys have heard these stories, but some of us were bright enough, I guess, to figure out that it really meant a difference as to what spot you stood in. So guys like myself came down for 18 or 19 months in a row at 2 o'clock in the morning, so we could get the right spot in the bond pit. My brother came at 12 o'clock at night for 6 months because he was in a time war with another guy. So he'd get in at midnight, and he'd be in his spot in the pit at midnight. I think eventually they made you sleep in the hallway, and everybody would run in when they opened up the gates. So, there's always been a premium on spots. Okay, anyways, we're commodities traders, we're in a pit. I'm not going to talk first about taking a loss or taking a profit because that doesn't mean anything unless you get trades. So here's what it's all about, okay? I'm in a pit. How do I get a trade? Over the history of the Board of Trade, there's been one group of traders that have consistently made money, and those are spreaders. Up until the bond pit, there was no such thing as a scalper who made money. And Johnny knows this, and I know this. When you were in the bean pit, and you were 6 for 100, and a guy sold you 100 at 6, everybody in the pit tested you. They made it 6 sellers, okay? And if you were 5.5 bid for 100, maybe went back 6 bid. But there was no such thing as a pit being a clearly defined 6 bid at 6.5 or 6 bid at 7. In the bond pit, it is clearly defined, as everybody knows. It's 6 bid at 7, okay? In the bean pit, and basically every other pit in the history of the Board of Trade, there was no such thing as a clear edge. So there was no such thing as a scalper or a scalp picker, okay? There were no successful scalp pickers in any pit. Everybody was a mini speculator and a mini day trader in every pit. And for the most part, those guys went bust, okay? The people that made money down here on a continual basis were spreaders. And they spread and they spread and they spread. And guys like me got started spreading. I was a one-lot trader who traded once a week. I went up in a cafeteria at noon and looked down at the pit for 30 minutes, figured out what they were doing, and traded 265 contracts the last hour of the day. And that's how I started the trade. And I was a 50-lot trader the next day because I understood what spreading was all about. People who spread are people down here that I think mature faster as traders, and at least in the old days, had an opportunity to make a lot of money. Now, because tax laws are different, there is no such thing as a spread. Okay? There are guys in the middle of the bond pit that make money spreading, and if you're a note spreader or a knob spreader, if you're a knob spreader, you're a pure spreader. If you're a note trader, you have to know what the spread's doing because you have to take advantage of it when the opportunity presents itself. But for the most part, people in the financial instruments room who stand in those pits are not spreaders, but they are. Everybody's a spreader, okay? How do I get trades? I have to adapt the mentality of a spreader, okay? I'm a scalper in the bond pit. I'm not a spreader. What are you talking about, Charlie? Well, everybody spreads. Everybody that trades bonds from the outside spreads. Everybody that's trading in the bond pit spreads. Every order that comes in is basically a function of a spread. What does that mean? We are in the bond pit, and I'll talk about the bond pit and any other pit you want to take individually. In the bond pit, we are spreaders. We're trading bonds, okay? But really, we're trading bonds against some other commodity. Now, as you know, the bond market, the futures market in bonds is about this big, and the cash market is about this big. So the most obvious relationship is, yeah, we're scalpers in the bond pit, and we're trading a futures contract, but everybody that trades against us into the bond pit is a spreader. Not everybody, but about 65% of the people that send orders in the front month in the bond pit now are trading against another contract, against another cash contract for the most part. Okay, so everybody is trading relationships. Now, I talked to you a little bit about how frustrated I was when I started out in the bond pit, and I'd be 6 bid at 7, but I'd say, God, why do I want to buy 6s? Well, I want to buy 6s because everybody else does. Okay, so what's the probability that I'm going to get 6? 0. Okay, I want to sell 7s when everybody else wanted to sell 7s. So what's the probability that I was going to get a 7? 0. So how do you get trades? You get trades by, number one, being a spreader at heart. Let's take the bond pit because a lot of you are familiar with it, okay? I want to trade the bond pit, okay? What do I want to spread against? I want to spread against outside markets. Now, what does that mean? Okay, I'm in the bond pit trading bonds. Okay, and I understand, everybody understands. If you don't understand, I'll explain it to you right now. If it's a big 6 bid, you want to buy 6s. If it's a big 7 sellers, you want to sell 7s. Okay? If you don't learn anything else today, remember that. Okay? Now, how do you get 6s and how do you get 7s? How do you get 6s when they're not quite as attractive as they were when 500 other people were trying to buy them? And how do you sell 7s when they weren't quite as attractive when 500 other people wanted to sell them? You are an offer or a bid in the bond pit against another market. Now, what that means simply is this. We follow other markets in the bond pit, okay? As you know, there are a whole bunch of guys that trade bonds that follow the yen, right? They're yenis, they're yen traders. When the yen ticks up, they're a kind of aggressive seller in the bond pit. When the yen ticks down, they're an aggressive buyer. If we're watching the Dow that thing, okay? If the Dow breaks, we're an aggressive seller or an aggressive buyer, depending on how much it's broken. We watch oil. Today, at the end of the day, we watch oil a little bit. We did what oil did. If oil breaks, we're aggressive buyers. If oil rallies, we become aggressive sellers. Okay. How does that get you trades? I am not an advocate of stepping out when you're trading. Okay. I don't believe that if a guy wants to trade and it's 6 bid at 7, the way you trade is you buy 10 at 7. Okay. Now I got to trade on, great. I don't think that's the way to trade. I think the best way for me to explain this is brokers want to trade with winners. Okay. They want to trade with you. But they really don't know what you want unless you are an aggressive bid or an aggressive offer, okay? Now, the hardest thing in the world, I think, is for a relatively new trader to step into a pit and be an aggressive 6 bid or an aggressive 7 offer when that person does not have a position on it. Because the bottom line is you just don't know that much about what's going on, and you really, why do I want to buy 6s? Why do I want to sell 7s? You have to have a reason for doing it. When I was a spreader, I spread the middle month against the top month. Okay? If I offered the middle month, I offered it at 20. How many you got at 20, Charlie? I look at the front month and see how many they offered at 16, which is what I wanted to buy. I got 420. Okay? You're a new trader. Who gives a shit? I got 420. I want to buy the spread. Okay? I was offering it, and I was offering it with confidence. When a broker had an order, I'll buy 100. He came to you, okay? Because he knew you wanted to sell 20s. There's nothing worse than being a new trader standing in a pit saying, well, 6 bid at 7. 6 bid at 7. I really don't know what I want to do. I really don't know if I want to buy 6. I really don't know if I want to sell 7s. Okay? So a broker says to you, because let's face it, they all feel good because they make too much money. Okay? A broker says to you, hey, what are you doing? Because he wants to be a favor. And you go, 6, 7. Like that. Or you forget to say 6 at 7, and he has 5 to sell at 6, and it's gold. Okay? That's not the way to trade. And that's not the way to get trades. To be a meek 6 bid at 7 is not the way to do it, okay? When you're in the pit, you want to offer 7s with confidence, or you want to bid 6 with confidence. Now, how do you do that? Easily, okay? You do it against another market. You don't have to fall in love with your bid, and you don't have to fall in love with your offer. I'm in a bond pit, okay? And I decide today I'm going to be a yen because everybody's following the yen, all right? And the yen breaks. So the yen relative to the dollar is weakening, so we're getting better and bonds are more attractive, okay? It's 6 bid at 7. I'm not 6 bid at 7, I'm 6 for 20, 6 for 10, 6 for 10. Okay, now a broker wants to help you. He wants to help you, okay? What does he do? He comes to you. If he has an opportunity, he comes to you. I think the thing you've got to remember is brokers want to trade with you, but they don't know what you want to do for the most part if you're a new trader because you're not evidencing any confidence at all in what you're doing. So today I follow the yen. So I'm a spreader at heart, okay? I'm not doing anything in the yen bit, but I'm doing bonds against yen, all right? So if I have to pick out something to do, I'll be a 6 bid, 6 for 20. Are you at 7? Sell 2 at 7. 6 for 10, 6 for 10, all the time watching what's going on in the pit, okay? Now, if a broker wants to help you, he says, God, that guy's 6 for 10, and he goes to you. More importantly, how many have you noticed, you new traders, when you're in that pit, how ridiculous it is when you yell, 6 for 10, sell 10 at 7, and you can hear your voice, God, you get embarrassed and all that other stuff. I don't get embarrassed anymore, but I did. When I first started trading, everybody thought I was bidding, if the number was 6, everybody thought I was bidding for 6 because I go, 6! And I hear my voice and I get nervous, okay? And I really wouldn't want to do it. No, 7 like that, and you get real quiet because you're embarrassed. If you have a reason for doing what you're doing, it's a little easier to be loud, okay? And if you're loud, we get into another concept. It enlarges the pit size that you trade in, okay? It enlarges the pit that you trade in. So, to summarize the idea of spreading, and I spent a lot of time on spreading, and I shouldn't have, but I feel strongly about it. If you're in a market, and you don't know what to do, and you don't want to stand there like an idiot and go 6 bid at 7, 6 bid at 7, 6 bid at 7, and he has 20 to buy, and he buys them from him because he's saying 20 at 7, sell 20 at 7, and he has 10 to sell, and he sells it to him because he says 6 for 10, 6 for 10. Come up with a reason for bidding, and come up with a reason for offering. The easiest way to do it, without knowing a lot about everybody's position, is to do it against another market, okay? So if you're going to follow the yen as an example in the bond pit, and the yen breaks, become an aggressive bidder. Become a loud, aggressive bidder. 6 for 10, 6 for 20, 6 for 30, or whatever. Now, once you get it, if you're a new trader, you may want to get rid of it, but at least you got the trade. And that's 3/4 of the battle. Getting a trade is 3/4 of the battle, not half the battle, okay? And you're an aggressive offer, so you're a spreader. One of the things you spread against is outside markets, you spread against the yen. What's another thing you spread against? You spread against the front month, okay? I see the big dogs up there, and I see Jay Nolan shoveling shit to the big dogs, okay? He saw them 100, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, like that. I know it's just a matter of time before it's going to go 5 sellers. So where am I? Well, at the very least, I'm an aggressive 6 seller. Now I'm spreading the front month against the front month. I'm spreading my bid against his bid. I'm offering 6s because he's selling 5s, okay? Now it's 5 bid at 6, but I'm offering 6s and I'm offering them aggressively. Now, why is that good? Why do you want to offer and bid aggressively? Because if somebody wants to help you, they're going to trade with you if you're bidding and offering aggressively. If you're not, they're not going to trade with you. Brokers want to help you because they feel guilty. They want to help you, but they don't know what to do. When you're an aggressive seller, they know what to do. I got 20 to buy, sold! Okay? They don't know what the market is. Or they do, and they're doing you a favor. Okay? Now you got that 20 at 6, and they've got all those 5s. They're bidding for them, and they're bidding for more. You know it's bullshit. Okay? You got your 20 at 6, and you wait for it to go 5 sellers. Okay? Or you bid 5. Now, you've sold 6s, guess what? You're an aggressive 5 bid. 5 bid, 5 bid, 5 bid. Okay? A broker wants to help you. He knows what he can do for you. He knows you want to do something. For you to be 5 bid at 6, 5 bid at 6, a broker has a 10 lot to buy. He doesn't want to stick you. He doesn't want to hurt you. He doesn't want to buy 10 at 6 from you if you don't know how to handle it. And he doesn't want to buy 10 at 6 from you if you don't want to sell it. If you're offering 6s, you're offering 6s because something happened in an outside market or something happened in your market. When you saw something transpire on the top step, or you saw something transpire in the middle month. So you become an aggressive offer or an aggressive bid. I have a note here. Brokers don't want to trade with losers. Everybody in here that's ever processed paper or brokered paper knows you don't like to stick a guy. Nobody likes to stick you. Okay? If you're 6 bid at 7, 6 bid at 7, and they sell you 10, and all of a sudden they go 6 sellers, and they see 5, they see you taking a loss. They don't want to trade with you anymore. They don't want to hurt you. They don't want to be responsible for you losing. Okay? Brokers don't like to trade with losers. And they don't like to trade with people that don't evidence self-confidence. You've got to act like you want those 6s. You've got to act like you want to sell those 7s. Spreading, how does that come into play? I want to sell 7s because, not because I'm a genius, because I know that bonds are going to go down 2 ticks. I want to sell 7s because something transpired in another market that's going to weaken the bond market. Okay? It's going to weaken the bond market. So I'm an aggressive seller. If something happened in the yen, or oil, or in the commodities basket, or in the Dow, or I hear the note guy screaming, okay, or I see something transpiring in the top step, or I see something transpiring in the middle one, or in the back one. I want to be a seller. Now, I don't have to live with it. Sell 20 at 7. Sell 20 at 7. Forget that. 6 for 10. 6 for 10, okay? I don't have to live with it. But when I offer it with meaning and I offer it with vigor. So a guy, if he wants to, will trade with you. Now remember, you offer 20 at 7 and a big dog's loaded, okay? He's long. He may want to shut you up. Okay? He may want to buy your 7s, even though he's long at 6. Because he wants to shut you up. And there's some guys in the bond that have made a tremendous living, getting shut up on a regular basis by guys that don't want to scream, okay? If you're a loud trader, everybody in the time knows that. Yeah. We can tell you some stories about that, we won't. Everybody wants to trade with you if you want to trade. If you go to a pit and you want to trade, people want to trade with you. But if you don't know what you want to do, they don't want to trade with you. And if you're 6 bid at 7, they don't know what the hell you want, okay? So you've got to have a reason for offering it and a reason for bidding for it. Okay, the concept of your personal bid size. My bid size when I'm 6 bid at 7, 6 bid at 7 is about this big, okay? And somebody says, say 2 at 6, okay? Okay. 88 or 8706, I bought 2. What's your house? What's your brokerage firm? And you write that down on the card, and that's how you lose, okay? You write that down, okay? Now, starts to go 6 sellers. So, you go, so you want 6, you want 6, and these are my buddies, okay? Now, I bought 2 at 6, and I sold you 1, and I sold you 1. My bid size is still this big, okay? I haven't done anything to enhance my bid size. You want to make more money, you trade in a larger pit. How large a pit can you trade in? You trade in a pit that goes from that corner all the way around to that corner. There's only one way to do that, and that's to be loud. Okay? It's not necessarily to be obnoxious, but that's to be loud. You're 6 for 10, 6 for 10, 6 for 10. Somebody over there, say a 10. Asshole, occasionally it was good. Say a 10, okay? Now you bought 10 at 6, okay? Now, God forbid it goes 6 sellers and you didn't get a chance to get out. It's 5 bid for 150. But all of a sudden there's a pretty good 6 offer. You're long 10 at 6. It's time for you to take your loss, okay? So it's time for you to take your loss. If I do this, 5 at 5. What have I done to enhance my position in the pit? Absolutely nothing. What have I done to increase my pit size? Nothing. I'm an asshole. My pit's this big. I bought 10 at 6, and I lost $312.50. And this guy loves me, and this guy loves me because they get a little shot at making money, okay? What do? You're long 10 at 6. It's 6 sellers. It's time to sell. You pick somebody out, and you sell them 10. And you do it loud. And you pick somebody out that can help you. You don't sell it to the guy next to you. You look around the pit. Okay, and there's a broker bidding for 50. Tom Burke, let's say, from Refco. Say a 10 at 5, okay? You sell him 10 at 5. You put your name on the card. What was that card? Okay? You've just enlarged your pit size. Something right happens. He's got discretion. He's a broker. He's an idiot. He's bought 10 at 5. I'll buy 40 at 6. Okay, as soon as you get up. You say, geez, now I'm showing 40 at 6. And they're 500 off at 6, okay? Now you're 5 for 40, 5 for 40. You just increased your pit size. Okay, the 5 bid grows, the 6 offer gets small, you're short 40 at 6. It's time to cover. You look around the pit when you have time. You look around the pit and you say, who can I buy these 6s from? Who can I give the edge up to that'll come back and make it worth my while? Justin, I'll buy 40 at 6. Justin Owen. I'll buy 40 at 6. So, later on in the day, after you bought that 40 at 6, you went 5 sellers, 4 sellers, 3 sellers, 2 sellers. Justin Nolan thought you were taking a loss, but were nice enough to look him up and give him the 40 ticks, okay? Later in the day, it's 2 bid at 3. Everybody in the world wants to buy 2s. You want to buy 2s because the yen's breaking you. 2 for 10, 2 for 10, 2 for 10. Hey, say a 50. Thanks, Justin. Okay? It came back to help you because you enlarged your pit size. I can't emphasize this enough. Don't be a trader that has a small group of friends, okay, and you commiserate after work, and you say, God, we're not getting any trades, and whenever you get two, he deserves one, so you give him one. Don't do that, okay? It's not fair to him, and it's not fair to you. When you trade with every corner of the pit, and when you take a loss, or when you take a profit, and we'll talk about that, okay? When it's time to take a loss, and when it's time to take a profit. When you take a loss and you take a profit, take advantage of it. You have a position on it. When you have a position on, you use that to your advantage. You enlarge your pit. This is the most important part of the commodities business for the traders. When you get a trade, and you have to get out, and everybody has to get out of that trade sometime, okay, or else the clearing firm will get you out of it eventually. When you have to get out, take advantage of it, okay? Give it to somebody that can come back and help you. Now, I'm a broker. This is an open outcry pit. I've got 100 to sell. There are 50 guys that want to buy fives. And there are 50 guys that want to sell sixes, okay? By the rules, I have 100 to sell. I don't have to say, so I'm the 5. And the first guy to say sold gets them. Okay, I'm a broker, and I sprinkle fairy dust on people. Sell you 20, sell you 20, sell you 20, sell you 20, sell you 20. And the customer gets the fill that he deserves, and the broker does his job. Now, the broker has exercised judgment, okay? The broker has decided to sprinkle fairy dust on somebody because at some point in time, when that guy has a big position on, and this broker goes sellers into it, and his house expects it, he expects that guy to come back to him to take him out when that guy has an opportunity to take out anybody in the place, okay? It goes both ways, all right? Enlarge the size of your pit, and do it by taking advantage of your position. And the way you take advantage of your position is, you're long at 5, and it's time for you to get out at 5, get out with the right people. And make sure when you get out loud, okay? The alpha guys, God bless them, do a tremendous job of getting out. The alpha guys buy 5s, 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3, and they're out at 5, and they let everybody know. When they get out at 5, they don't go sell your 10. Sell 10 at 5! And 75 people try and tear their face off to get the trade, okay? But it helps them in the long run. Okay. This is why we're charging you $500 for this one, so I'm going to talk about it right now. Okay. I'm going to talk about transition trading. This all falls under the heading of how do I get trades? You get trades by being a transition trader. First of all, you get trades by being a spreader, okay? You're a spreader, you're trading against other markets, you're bidding with a reason to buy, you're offering with a reason to sell. This is when you don't have a position on and you're initiating a position, okay? You get trades by enlarging your pit. You finally get a trade on, and you take advantage of it, okay? Remember, for all the time you spend in that pit, there's probably 6 nanoseconds a day when you have a position on, okay? Good traders have a position on from the time the bell rings, I was going to say from the time the bell rings at the end of the day, but there are some of us who are idiots that carry positions even past that last bell, okay? And we have them the next day. Good traders have positions on all day long. If I have a position on, if I'm long 105 and you're flat, and a broker says, 6 for 10, who's going to win? Who's going to get to him first, you or me? I'll beat your ass. Because I have a position on it, okay? I know what I want to do. I want to sell 6s. More realistically, if I'm short at 4, and a broker says, 6 for 10, I'll beat your ass. Because I don't want you to get short at 6 trying to buy 5s, okay? If I have a position on, you can't believe how fast I get. If you have a position on, you can't believe how fast you get. You get smart and you get fast. But unfortunately, new traders have a position on about 6 nanoseconds a day, okay? So you're 6 for 1, and finally somebody says, sold! And before you can card it, someone at 6! Oh, God, that was close. They could have done man sales. They could have done man sales. Well, I had that one on. Reagan could have died. Bush could have died. Think about it. All that stuff could have happened. The champs could have decided to sell their entire portfolio while I had one headed on, but I got out. Thank God. Now, 3.5 hours later, 2 for 1, sold, still 1 and 2, I'm out. Oh, God, they could have done it again. Okay? Now, you want to have a position on all day long. You have a position on all day long because you bid with authority, you offer with authority, you enlarge the size of your pit, and you become a transition trader. What's a transition trader? Transition trading is a nice way of saying you steal trades until you become a trader. 95% of the guys in the bond pit and probably 95% of all the guys in all the pits steal trades, that's how they become traders. What does it mean to steal a trade? And am I telling you should steal trades for a living? Absolutely not. What I'm telling you is you want to be absolutely involved in whatever happens in that pit, okay? And if it's 6 bid at 7 and it goes 6 sellers, ding, 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 there's an opportunity for profit, okay? When it's 6 bid at 7, 99 out of 100 times, you're not going to make a damn nickel by buying 6s and selling 7s, okay? It's 6 bid at 7. No one's going to sell you 6s and buy 7s from you because you're good looking, because you're a new trader. It just doesn't happen. You want to play, you got to get into the market any way you can. How do you get into the market? You become a transition trader. What's a transition trader? It's 6 bid at 7. Sell 506, say a 10. Okay? There were 10 bid for right there. Now, you sold him 10 at 6 because he wanted to sell 500. All right. Did he get filled? Absolutely. That's your 10. Now it's 6 sellers and you're short 10 at 6. Congratulations. You're in the market. You're playing. When you're in the market, you make money. When you're not in the market, you don't do anything. Okay? When you're in the market, you're playing. Transition trading is a very, very touchy subject. I am not telling you to go out and steal trades. Okay? But listen, this is the way the world is. 6 bid at 7. One of the big dogs says, sell 200 at 6, and you like it. Okay, you think it's a good idea, and he's bidding for 25. So, did he get his? He sure did. These are yours. Did he not get his? Hey, I'll buy 25. Ooh, an honest guy. Somebody like me appreciates that. You know, and believe me, they remember it forever. Say 25. Did he get yours? I'll buy 25. I'm off. Fuck you. Okay. A little later in the day, big shot. Sell 206, say 25. Hey, that's my market. Ooh, you were off last time. Remember that? Okay. What's fair is fair. It's a hard, hard life, okay? And it's a tough world out there. You want to be in the market. When the bid changes and the offer changes, you want to be in the market, okay? That's when the opportunity for money happens, when the bid changes and the offer changes. Okay, so you're there. You know what you want to do. You see 6s trading, you're an aggressive 7 seller. But by God, you're ready to go to 6, okay? Anything can trip your wire. So somebody says, sell at 6. And they want to sweep the market, okay? You help them sweep the market. You sell him his 25. You give him his 25 because he deserves it, because he was sweeping the market, okay? Guess what? Later in the day, later in the week, later in the month, that'll come back tenfold to you. More importantly, because that's esoteric, I think, more importantly, if he doesn't want it or he gets filled, that's yours. Now, here's another situation. 5 bid at 6. Sell 10 at 5. Sell 500 at 5, okay? The guy that sells 10 at 5, it's his market. You sell 25. Did he get filled? I never got my 10 lot. I'll buy 10. Hey, that's my market. I offered 500 at 5. Bullshit. He was first. He offered 10 at 5. It's your market. You're in. You're short 15 at 5 in the market where you want to be short. Because Big Dog wants to sell them, okay? Transition trading. That's how you get the trades, okay? Don't steal trades. Don't steal them. When the market changes, you be part of the action. Now, how are you part of the action? Okay, it's 6 bid at 7. Identify the 6 bids. Who's a 6 bid? How far is he from you? How far is he from you? Ideally, you're close enough to these guys where if it goes 6 sellers and he gets filled, the guy that turned to 6 sellers, you can get these, okay? Ideally. Now, remember, that's got to do with bid position too. If you're a broker and I'm here, okay, and he's standing next to you, and I know you're bidding for 25, and all of a sudden Big Dog says, sell 506. Say 25, okay? By the time I do that, the guy next to you is already grabbed and sold. Okay, so proximity means something. The closer you are to a trader, the easier, or a broker, the easier it is to get a trade. Now, understand also what the positions are of the locals around you, okay? So, here's John Doe. He's short 10 at 7. You're an aggressive 7 seller. He's a lucky dog, okay? He's short 10 at 7. You're an aggressive 7 seller. And boom, 6 sellers, okay? You're offering him 6s because chances are he's going to take his profit. You're in the market. You're a transition trader. If he's short 10 at 7 and it goes 6 sellers, sell at 6, sell 500 at 6. Sell 500 at 6, okay? And he doesn't go, I'll buy 10, I'll buy 10. He's not doing that, okay? He's 5 for 10, 5 for 10. And then he goes 6 for 10, okay? It's your market. It's not anybody's market. It's anybody's market at that point in time. Do you understand me on that one? Okay? Now these are tough questions. I think the guys that trade in the market know that I feel pretty strongly about people that steal trades. Okay? And sometimes I get vocal about it. And I don't like it. I don't like when people steal trades. I think if you make a market, you ought to get filled up. And I think there are a couple guys in the market, when they make a market, they go sell it at 6. And that means if you're bidding for it or thinking about bidding for it, or your mother wants them, buy it from me. There are an awful lot of guys in the market though that go, sell it at 6! Boom, boom, you're trying to buy 500 from them and they say 50. Okay? Those are the guys you make a living on. If and when they become transition traders, okay? Or even when you get an opportunity to be a transition trader. Now, I think transition is kind of a cheap term. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about? You want to get in the market, okay? And you want to get in the market and you want to do long at the bid or short at the offer. How do you do it? You're standing in the pit. Somebody says, sell it at 6. Sell 300 at 6. Justin Nolan says, sell 300 at 6, and they're 125 bid, okay? So, he's selling this 25. You give the 25 to Justin. I promise you it will come back to you. It'll come back to you, okay? Not only that, you've done a trade. Now, remember this. There are a lot of people in a lot of pits that lose money, okay? And there are a lot of people that try and turn it sellers when they're never going to turn it sellers. They're trying to turn it bid when they're never going to turn it bid. So don't get in a position where every time somebody says, sell 106, okay? And you know everybody's sold 7s, just because they're doing it, say 25, because the first thing you'd be doing is buying 25 at 7, okay? Don't do that. When you're a transition trader, you're a transition trader because you're saying in your mind, I want to be a 7 seller. But if the opportunity presents itself, I'll be a 6 seller because I want to be short at 6, okay? I can't tell you how important that is, and I can't tell you how it changes your life. When you're a new trader and you're standing in the pit, you don't have a position on it. You're looking at the tiles in the ceiling. You're like me when I started out. My God, they've got microphones in the ceiling. And I'd stand there and look at them. I'd look at his and think, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And the guy next to me, 6 for 100, 107, 6, and I wouldn't even know what he was talking about. Wouldn't even care because look at the people in the visitors gallery, they're Amish. I do that a lot. Amish people cost me a lot of money. They're interesting. Wow, look at that. Okay. You want to be in the market. When it's 6 bid at 7 for 3 hours in any pit, I don't care how strong you are mentally, it's tough to keep involved. Okay, but if it's 6 bid, 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, 4 bid, 5 bid, 6 bid, sell at 6, sell at 5, 6 bid, 7 bid, 8 bid, 10 bid, Charlie's going 14 bid to cover his shorts. Okay? That's fun. Right? That's fun. But it's not fun if you're, it's 6 sell, it's 5 sell, it's 4 sell, it's 6 bid, oh boy, this is great. You go home, hey, I was working, it was incredible. It was 6 sellers and 5 sellers. That's no good. You want to play. How do you play? You play by being a transition trader. You want to be a 7 seller, it's a light 6 bid. Justin says, sell 206, say 25, I'll buy 25. I'm okay. I'm short 25 at 6. Gee, that's the biggest trade I ever had. Do I want to be short at 6? Sure, it's 5 sellers. Okay, now, we'll talk about taking a profit later. Okay, transition trading. I'll tell you how to buy those 5s. Transition trading. Gentleman stealing, okay? That's how you trade. That's how you get in fast. And that's how you keep your interest peaked. And remember, if you have a position on it, I guarantee you're not going to believe how fast and how smart you are. Okay? If I don't have a position on it, well, maybe not me because I'm stupid, okay? But if somebody doesn't have a position on it, and a broker says, say 10-6, before you go sold, you go 10-6. Who's offering those 7s? Well, I want to be long at 6. What's that end doing? What are those guys over in the new pit doing? Do I want to be long at 6? What do I think about this number coming out next Wednesday? Do I want to be long at 6? You've got 17 variables you got to think about. Do I want to be long at 6? Okay, if you're short 10 at 7, you can't imagine how fast you say sold. If you're an aggressive bidder because another market is doing something, the yen's breaking, you can't imagine, and a 6 is a half edge, you can't imagine how fast you are. So, okay? All of a sudden, you get fast. You get fast. I used to go home at night. There was a kid in the bottom named Jeff Davies. Jeff is no longer with us because Jeff let his losses run too far, and we'll talk about that, okay? But Jeff was the fastest human being in the commodities business, and I've seen them all. He was the fastest. He was faster than Henry Shankman. He was faster than Bobby Goldberg. He was faster than Johnny Musso. He was the fastest man I ever saw. And I always went home at night and I'd say, you know, I can be a commodities trader. I think I can make money. Except there's this guy, Jeff Abrams, and Jesus, is he fast. Every time they offer, he buys. Every time they bid it, he sells it. And he's fast, and he spreads, and he scalps, and he does everything, and he's so fast. And I'll be standing next to him, and I'll say to myself, and I'll tell my wife this, I know I want to buy 6s. I know I want to buy 6s. And he'll be short at 7, and the broker will sell 50 at 6, and we'll both go, sold! And he beat me every time because he had a position on. When you have a position on, you get fast. You get fast and real fast, okay? I don't think I want to say anything more about the trades, other than I almost did. Okay, does everybody understand the concept of transition trading? Does anybody have any questions about it? Does anybody have any questions about the concept of bidding and offering against another market? Does anybody have any questions about taking advantage of your pit and enlarging your pit size? Okay. One other thing. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Brokers want to trade with people that aren't losers, and they want to trade with people that sound like they're making money, that sound confident. How do you sound confident? A kind of an interesting test is you're at home and you're alone. And you say 6 for 10, and you say a little louder, 6 for 10, 6 for 10, 6 for 10, and you yell it, okay? Are you yelling it in such a manner that it doesn't sound like you're dying, that it doesn't sound like you're scared to death, that it doesn't sound like you're not scared but really are scared, that's why you don't sound like you're scared? As an example, a lot of guys I know talk like this, and if they increase their decibel level, they talk like this and talk like this and talk like this, and they go 6 for 10, 6 for 10. But because they're unsure of themselves and uncomfortable and everything else, when it's time for them to bid, they go 6 for 10. And you've all heard that in the pit. It's kind of a cute trick when you're starting out, because people go, hey, whose voice is that? Okay? After a while, they think you're an idiot, they think you're unsure of yourself. One thing you want to practice is getting your decibel level up. And let me tell you something, there's nothing more important than a big decibel level, I think, in terms of enlarging your pit size, other than trading humongous size. Get your decibel level up by practicing. You talk in a speaking voice and bring that speaking voice up. Because you don't want to put strange inflections in your voice whenever you bid. And one thing you don't want to do when you're bidding 6, 10, you listen to yourself and you're embarrassed and you go, oh, geez, golly. And you bid it once and then an hour later you bid it again because you were embarrassed the first time you did it. You want to get to the point, and this is a real good key to know when you're going to make money trading commodities. You make money trading commodities when you bid for it and offer it and you don't particularly hear yourself. Okay? When I offer it, I don't hear myself anymore. Sometimes I do. The last 4 days I heard myself. The last 4 days I couldn't believe when I heard it as American. When you offer it, and you're not going, God, was that my voice? Like that, then you're a jerk. You're not going to make any money. Practice high decibel levels. We have a broker in the bond pit that stands on the pit on the other side of me. He's a 500-lot broker. He could stand there in an empty pit and scream at the top of his lungs, and I couldn't hear him on my side of the pit. I'll never, as long as I live, understand how I really got a deck as big as he did. But he did, okay? You got to have a big decibel level. And there's got to be something in your voice that says, hey, I want to trade it. Part of it is, come on, try and hurt me. That's part of it. There are guys in our pit, there are guys in every pit that people trade with just because you want to hurt them. There's a guy in a bond pit named Dave Garland, some of you guys know, okay? Dave Garland doesn't say solid 6, he says, solid 6! Fuck you, basically, okay? And if you have a chance, so, you an asshole, okay? And that's what he does. He's a confrontational trader, and that's how he gets his trades. He offers it in a confrontational manner. He gets a lot of trades. I don't believe in the confrontational approach, but I think what you have to do is you have to let people around you know what you want to do. You want to buy 6s, why do you want to buy 6s? Because you know they've been buying, or the whole pit's short at 7, or the whole pit's short at 8, or the whole pit's short at 5. You want to buy 6s. The outside markets tell you want to buy 6s. So you say, I want to buy 6s, okay? And when you bid that, you say that with the inflection in your voice, or I want to sell 7s. and the inflection in your voice is confident and loud. Pete Besser's a bond trader. He's a great bond trader. He stands 3 steps down, and his pit goes from corner to corner to corner because everybody can hear Pete. And by God, those brokers say, I want to trade with Pete because he bids and offers all day long. Now, Peter did. We have fast cash streams. Everybody know about the cash stream in the bond pit, just for the guys that trade bonds. Everybody understands the cash stream in the bond pit. You've got to understand it, okay? It's a screen in the corner like this. And it has 20 different issues. And the issue we look at is way down here in the right-hand corner. It's a long bond, okay? And it has a bid on a long bond and an offer. And when somebody in the cash market says, I'll take that offer, which is bullish for bonds, okay, you see a TAK for take. Or if somebody says, I'll hit that bid, you see an HIT here, meaning they hit that bid. Now in the old days, when we had a fast screen, which reported that stuff almost instantaneously, a guy like Pete Besser made a living trading off the cash screen. He was 6 bid at 7, and they hit cash. Sell 10 at 7, sell 10 at 7, sell 10 at 7. And there was one lone 6 bid, because all the other 6 bids had been taken, and Peter would take it. Now, 6 sellers, and Pete was short at 6. He made a tremendous living because he followed the cash screen. Unfortunately, the cash screen we follow in the bond pit now is a slow cash screen. There's a delay of up to 45 seconds between the time the trade occurs and it occurs on our screen. But I'll tell you, there was a time when they trade the equivalent of 14 bonds on that cash screen, and Tommy Baldwin would sell 500 bonds in our pit against that cash screen. Because, like I said, with the tail, cash is the dog, okay? And the tail don't wag the dog wags the tail. And they were spreading, everybody spreads. Guys that trade bonds, you know, the guys on the outside, they trade against cash. They know what's going on, okay, in the cash market. And this was our little glimpse into the cash market, and this is how a scalper, which is a hard thing to be. I'm 6 bid at 7, do anything to me. You can't hurt me because I'm 6 bid at 7. If you sell me 6s, I'll get rid of them at 6. If you buy 7s from me, I'll buy 7s and scratch the trade. You can't hurt me. That's a nice concept, but it's hard. It's hard to get trades because your voice indicates you're uncertain. And you're 6 bid at 7, and the broker says, sell you 10 at 6, you always hesitate because you really don't know if you want to buy 6s or not. You got to have a reason for bidding and a reason for offering. And transition trading. And I hope everybody understands that concept. And once again, because you know I feel strongly about this, okay? I feel strongly about honor. I'm not talking about stealing trades. I'm talking about being in the market, okay? If it's 6 bid at 7 and it goes 6 sellers, you want to be part of the 6 sellers. You want to sell 6s if that's a good deal. Or you want to be a 5 bid right in their face. The yen's ticking down, ticking down, ticking down, ticking down. You know the bid's short, okay? And it goes 6 sellers, you're a 5 bid right in their face. 5 for 20, and you're loud, okay? I know idiots in the bond bid that throw out 10 lot, 20 lot, 50 lot high calls. Occasionally you'll get one of those. Okay. How do you take a loss? Chapter 3. Is taking a loss important? Yeah. Why is it important? I put a star on this one too. Why is it important? Because if you don't take your losses, you can't play with us, okay? Because we're going to chew you up and spit you out and get rid of you. You got to take a loss. Before I get into the specifics of taking a loss, let's go back a little bit to the concept of enlarging your pit. When you take a loss, it hurts. And it should hurt, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. Nobody should be a good loser, okay? Don't be a good loser. It doesn't sit right with you. It doesn't look good on you, and it isn't good for the people you love. Don't be a good loser, okay? But when you have to take a loss, take it. Take it like a man, or a woman, okay? And take advantage of it, and make sure that the loss you take comes back and helps you out later. So I'm long 10 at 6. And it goes 6 sellers. It's time for me to get out, because I'm not going to sell 6s. Now, I'm long 10 at 6, and it's 5 bid at 6, and I'm an aggressive 6 seller, and everybody that knows me knows I want to sell 6s, and they can hear it in my voice, and they know damn well I'll sell 6s, and I want to sell them doubly bad because I'm long at 6, but I'm not going to sell them at 6. It just isn't meant to be, okay? So I have to sell 10 at 5. Don't say at 5, say at 5. Don't do that. Do not do that. Pick somebody out if you have that kind of time and take advantage of it. When you take a loss, use it to your advantage. It's a very easy concept. Use it to your advantage. Use it by selling it to people that will come back to you. Okay? There are locals in our pit as an example. There are locals in the bean pit. There are locals in almost every pit that are locals, but really aren't locals. To a certain extent, they act like brokers. I remember the first time I ever talked to anybody at Goldberg, I'd been in the business 4 years, and I gave a little thing on spreading. And somebody said, well, why are you talking about spreading? I said, well, because I spread. Well, I thought you were a broker. They did. They thought I was a broker. And a lot of people still think I'm a broker, okay, because I give up the edge too much. But that means if you want to get out, you probably want to go to a local like me that'll come back to you. And I'm not saying me, go to a local that trades size, okay? They can help you at some point in time, okay? People scratch other people's backs. It's 5 bid at 6, you're long at 6, you got to sell 10 at 5. Take advantage of it. Sell it to somebody that will come back and help you at a later date. Because by God, the $312.50 is gone. It's gone forever. Okay? It's not like spreading. When you actually spread 1 month against another month, the first tick is on the house. If I blow a spread and don't do it right, I want to buy 16s, and I buy 17s, well, I still haven't lost the money because I still have a chance to come back and sell 17s as a spreader. When I scalp, and I lose that first tick, and that's all we're talking about today is scalp, basically, okay? And I lose that first tick, by God, it's gone and it's gone forever. Unless I can plant a seed, so I plant a seed, okay? I enlarge my pit size, and I sell that 10 lot to somebody that can help me. When you get out of the trade, you get out first of all, you get out when it's no more fun, okay? When you're standing in a pit, you're long at 6, and your stomach's tight, and it's 5 bid at 6, and it's not fun, get out. Get out of the trade. It isn't fun, it isn't neat. Go do something else, okay? Go do another trade. Get out when it's not fun. Sometimes, when you're long at 6, and it's trading 6, but you want to hang on to this one, there may be somebody you want to sell it to. That'll be your advantage. There may be a broker there with discretion on an order. And as everybody, you're all traders, you know what it means when they go like this, don't you? You know what it means when the desk goes like this to the broker? That means I'm giving you 1 tick discretion, okay? So you're 6 for 50, but you can go up to 7, all right? So I'm a broker, and I got 50 to buy. Somebody sells me 10 at 6. I go to 7. By the rules, I don't have to go back to him, but as a matter of etiquette, who do I go back to? The guy that sold me 6s, okay? Now, you wanted to be long at 6. The rule wants to sell it at 7. You sell 10 at 6 because you were long there, now you're short 47. That's the greatest trade you'll ever make, okay? That's not, keep that in mind. Discretion helps. Go to people that can exercise discretion on their trades when they're taking a loss. So you get out when it's no fun, you get out when it's to your advantage. When you walk into that pit, before you start the day, you say, okay, I want to trade with fluidity, I want to trade with charisma, I want to trade with style, I want to knock their socks off. But I got to have some rules, okay, because you can't imagine how fast those losses mount up if you don't have rules. So you walk into that pit and you say, all right, I don't want to be an alpha trader, I don't want to buy it at 6 and count to 3 and sell it at 6, but by God, I want to have some rules. The easiest rule for everybody to follow is, in any pit, if you're long at a certain price, and you were too slow to get out before it went sellers, take a deep breath, sell it a tick lower, okay? That's a 1 tick loss. That's being mechanical. You forget about the trade, you put it in your pocket, and you go on to your next trade. Do I believe in that? Absolutely not. Do I think you ought to do it as a new trader? Absolutely, okay? I believe you ought to handle every trade individually. Here's how you handle a trade, okay? I'm long at 6. It's 6 sellers, 5 bid. If I had my druthers, what could I do? And we all play that game when we stand in the pit, I think. I know I do. I say to myself, it's 5 bid at 6. Boy, I wish I got my 500. I really like it, okay? So if I'm long 50 at 6 and it's 6 sellers, I'm probably not going to beat my 50 at 5 right away, okay? There's going to have to be a reason for me to go sell this. Now, we'll get around to this, but there are probably 20 reasons why you should sell it at 5, and I think we ought to talk about this, okay? But the first thing to remember is when you walk into that pit, you want to have style, you want to have charisma, and you want to be your own man, and believe me, I don't understand for the life of me why anybody would want to be a commodities trader, given the publicity we've gotten and some of the conditions we work under. With one exception, you want to make money, okay? So we're here to make money. And that's an important thing to remember. When you walk into that pit, there's not going to be any psychic reinforcement. No one's going to come up to you and say, "Tell the trader." No? And you don't give a shit if they do, because if it isn't in your statement, you can't eat it, okay? I know when I started out, I lived for the moments when somebody would come over and say, "Hey, nice trade." You know? Oh, God, that's great. It was like checking your personnel file. Nobody cares about that anymore, okay? You are independent operators. You're sleazeballs and slime bags, and your neighbors think you cheat. okay? And they think that you take advantage of them every time they put an order in. You think that they think you've stolen from their aunt. You're here for one reason and one reason only. You are economic animals. That's all we are. Now, I like to think we're more than that, okay? I like to think we do our job. I like to think we provide a service, which we do, but we are economic animals. When it all gets down to it, there's no personnel file anywhere that says Charlie was a good guy on this day and he was a bad guy on that day. You know, like Manning has my trading statement. Charlie was an asshole on this day and he was a good guy on that day, okay? The only thing that we really relate to is our trading statement. So you walk into that pit, you're there. There isn't any more glamour associated with being a commodities trader. That all went out the window and all except the guy stuff, okay? You are a commodities trader because you want to make money. So when you walk in that pit, you got to have some rules. One of the things you got to do when you walk in that pit is you got to say, I got to be a mechanic. Now you have to set your limitations, okay? I think an excellent way for a new trader to start is, I'm not taking anything more than a one-tick loss, okay? Because if I don't take anything more than a one-tick loss, I'm always going to have enough money to come back tomorrow. And that's the name of this game. The name of this game is, no matter how badly I did today, I took my losses in a manner that was good enough so that I can come back tomorrow. So keep that in mind, okay? So for a new trader, you're long at 6, it's 6 sellers, you take a deep breath, you think about it, can you get out at 6? Probably not. Because you're a new trader, not going to trade with you anyways. 100 could trade at 6, 200 could trade at 6, 400 could trade at 6, and they probably won't trade with you. Get out at 5, okay? Now don't shut up for the rest of the day. Catch your breath and keep trading, okay? And understand what went wrong. Now, the longer you trade, the more trades you do. I always thought a rule of thumb I had was you had to do 4,000 or 5,000 trades before you've been faced with everything. Now, being faced with everything means you're long at 6, max sales, it's even sellers before you know it. Okay, you have to handle that. You're long at 6. Greenspan says something, it's 12 bid. Okay, now you know what to do with the 60 profit. You experience the 60 profit. A broker sells you 10 at 6, sells you 10 at 5, sells you 10 at 4, sells you 50 at 3 before you know it, and you don't want that much, okay? But you have to puke it. Okay, that's a new experience. A broker buys 200 from you right out of the blue, and you have to scratch or take a loss. That's a new experience. It takes 4,000 or 5,000 trades, I think. 4,000 or 5,000 contracts traded before you've experienced everything. Now, once you've experienced everything, you're okay. But in the interim, okay, you have to build up your time served with positions on. And that's what trading is all about. The longer time you serve in a pit with a position on, the more you know about yourself, the more you know about trading. If I'm long 10 at 6, and I sell them at 6, 3/100ths of a second later, and I get my next trade later that day or early the next day, okay, I haven't learned much. I was long at 6 and I got out at 6. Why'd you get out at 6? Because there was 6, I didn't want to take a loss, okay? When you get to the point where you have a position on, and you can actually say, I'm long at 6, who's bidding, who's offering, what's it trading, do I want to be long at 6, what are the outside markets doing, and you know your mind works very quickly. When you're long at 6, and you can work that quickly where you understand the 17 variables involved in trading, okay, or 20 variables involved, then you're okay. The only way you get to that position is when you have a position on, because I'm telling you something, people's personalities change. You could be a Phi Beta Kappa, and somebody says, say, 23, and you become an idiot, an absolute idiot. You're long 23. Me? Me? What's the market trading? And you look at the board to see if the market's really 3-bid 4, as you look at it, and you just absolutely forget everything you've ever learned. So you have to serve time with positions on. The longer you spend with time on, the better trader you become, because the more you'll understand, and the more you'll understand how to handle yourself when you're fired. Okay? Because it's one thing to be long 10 at 6, and there's 500 bid and 500 offered, and by God, it's been 6 bid 7 for the last 10 minutes, and it ain't going anywhere. And I probably won't sell 7s, but I damn well won't sell 5s. That's one thing, and it's quite another thing. And that number comes out. Okay, and you're long 10 at 6, and he says, you want 380? You want 525? You want 620? Okay? It's a whole lot different. You have to handle it differently. You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about trading, and you learn how to move. And one of the most important things you'll learn is, how do I get out? Now, we've already decided we're going to be mechanical when we walk in the pit. As new traders, we're going to take losses, okay? I take a loss. When I have time, I take a loss and I take it to my advantage. I enlarge my pit size by trading with somebody in a far corner, okay? Now, I'm on 10 at 6, 6 sellers, 5 sellers. How do I get out? Okay, here's one way to get out. Sell 10 at 4, sell 10 at 3, sell 10 at 2, sell 10 at 1. Okay, when it's trading 4 up there, the guys next to you will buy them. All right, and they'll sell them out at 4. That's one way to get out. Okay, there's another way to get out. At all times, know who the brokers are, who the locals are, and what their positions are. You can't tell what a broker's position is or what a broker's order is going to be. Know where to go. When it's time for you to get out, when you don't give a shit, and you want to get out, okay, and your voice gets a little screechy because you just want to get out, don't offer it to the microphone in the ceiling, because they don't care. How much people won't trade with you? Nobody will. Believe me, I've tried to sell it to the gallery. There have been days like, you want them? You want them at even? They don't want them at even. They don't want them. Nobody wants them, okay? You have to know where to go. Don't offer it to the world. Don't. Offer it to specific people or specific locations within the pit. Okay? I'm on 10 at 6, it's time to get out. Sell 10 at 4! No eye contact, no nothing. Who's he talking to? If I sell 4s or I sell 5s, I'll come back and get him, okay? But if he says, sell 10 at 4, and he locks eyes. Man, I know I can't sell 4 because he offered me 10 at 4, okay? So you're out of the ball game, okay? And if you're a big trader, you might just want to buy 10 at 4. All right? Or if you're a broker, you may have 10 to buy. Or you may go like that. And you show me where it's happening, okay? But you have to make eye contact. And you make eye contact with as many people as you can, as quickly as you can. Sell 10 at 4! Okay, and I just took this row out of the game. Okay? But if I go, sell 10 at 4, nobody in this room gives a shit, okay? They want to sell 10 at 5 so they can buy my 10 at 4. So when it's time to puke, make eye contact. Okay? When it's time to get out and get out fast, know where you're going. Know where the paper is. We know in our pits, any pit you trade in, you know where the paper is, you know where the brokers are at the big decks. Those are the most likely candidates. Big locals are likely candidates. Okay? Make sure you make eye contact and make eye contact with as many people as possible. Now, one of the ways you make eye contact is you increase the volume of your voice. So if the market's screaming down at your lawn, you don't go, sell 10 at 4 and make eye contact. You let them know you got 10 to sell. Okay? And sometimes you let them know you got 10 to sell, and price really ain't no object. Sell 10 at... And you just look for the bid, okay? Or you make eye contact with somebody and say, sell you 10. Sold. I bet you 90% of the big brokers in the bond bid, as an example, if you said sell you 10, they go sold, and they wouldn't negotiate price, but they'd come back to you and say, even if it was 30 at the time and it's 20 now, they go, yeah, I bought that 10 from you, god darn it. And the price was 30, okay? Get out by making eye contact. When it's time to puke, and you can't use it to your advantage, get out by making eye contact and by being loud. And be mechanical. One tick rule is hard to follow, but remember this. People down here at the Board of Trade that survive have a low puke point. Everybody knows what that is. That means I'm long at 4, I'm long at 2, I'm long at even, I'm long at 30, I'm long at 28. I'm not even thinking about getting out because I don't got a low puke point. I can stay with this stuff forever. No, it doesn't come back. I figured out early on, there were a number of times I was in the pit and I'd be long and the market would be breaking and I would say, God, please make the market come back. Now, why do you have said that? I don't think I am. I think a lot of people have said that. You know, it took me 9 years to figure out that the reason why God never let it come back is because there were people in that pit that were as good as I that was going, God, please let it break. Okay? So there were people working against me all the time. As many times, I can remember there's a guy in our office who did the best deal ever. He said, God, he was short 10. He's bald and he has a beard. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, he was short 10. The market was a point against him. He said, God, if you let it come back, I'll get out of the business. Okay, there was a point against him. It never came back and he stayed in the business, thank goodness. Okay? So, God doesn't trade bonds. I guarantee you, he doesn't care what you're going to name your next kid. He don't trade bonds. He doesn't care what kind of trouble you're in. He doesn't trade bonds. You've got to have a puke point. When you're long at 4, you don't get looking to buy at 2 unless you've been around a long time, okay? When you're long at 4, you want to get out, okay? You want to throw those contracts up all over your shoes. That's a puke point. The people that do the best in there are people that have a low puke point. You've got to puke. You've got to get out. When you have a position on that goes against you, you've got to get out. And you've got to make sure that there's something inside you that's always clicking. That's your self-defense mechanism. You won't let you stay with something bad too long. Okay? right. Bid tomorrow. Okay, part of taking a loss is being able to determine at the time you have a position on, are you short with all the other idiots? Or are you long with all the other idiots? How do you know if the idiots in the field are long? Now remember this. Okay, I'm a local and I'm long 10 at 6. And you're a local and you're long 10 at 6, you're long 10 at 5, you're long 10 at 7, you're long 10 at 3, you're long 10 at 10. Okay? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 locals. We're long 70 lots between us. We have an order, just like brokers. We're supposed to sell those 70 lots worst can. Because that's the way locals get out. They sell them worst can, okay? So, if Charlie's long 200 and Biz is long 200, Baldwin's long 18,000, okay? All right? And all these little guys over there all got 50 lots and they're all long, okay? All of a sudden you say in your mind, you know, geez, these guys are long about 700 contracts between them. Now, they have an order. Get out of those 700 contracts worst can, because that's how you get out of your position, okay? How do you know if you're long and the rest of the pit's long? The easiest way is to be in a position where your sight angle is such that you can see what's going on, okay? Nothing worse than surprises. We had a surprise today, without going into specifics on who's who, we had a surprise today. Somebody in one of the corners, the northeast corner, came out, 6 bid! 6 bid! You remember? Okay? We didn't know what was going on. There were 500 offered at 6. 6 bid! He's a little trader. And then all the other Balfour brokers came out. 7 bid! 8 bid! Because Balfour was covering the 2000, they sold it 01 and 31, and they started in that corner. Okay? When he came out bidding, we knew all the other idiots were short along with us. How did we know? We knew because, number one, nobody was putting a high ball. Everybody know what a low ball and a high ball are? Okay? I'm trading at home. And I see my screen, it's 2 bid at 3, 2 bid at 3. Well, there's 300 offered at 3, okay? And I'm short. And they take the 3s out and print a 4, bing. A high ball isn't really not. The Tribune will disagree with this, but I'm telling you the truth. A high ball is not the 5 stops, okay? A high ball is to paint a picture for screen traders. You paint a picture, all right? You want a 4 quote out. So the guys that are short are queasy, okay? And they got that feeling in their stomach. These are the traders that trade over the screen. They see that 4 out there, and it's 3 bid at 4, 3 bid at 4. It's 3 for 10, 500 offered at 4. If they're a big trader, they have access to that information, but you're still painting that screen. 4 for 1, 4 for 1, 4 for 1, because you want to paint that screen, okay? Now, the pitch short. It's 2 bid at 3, it goes 3 bid. Where's that 4? Where's that 4? Well, I know I ain't putting it out because I know I'm short. I know all these guys are short and they're not putting it out, so no 4 comes out. So one way to know if you're short with all the other idiots is are there any high balls going out, okay? If you're long with all the other idiots and the market's breaking, you see that low ball coming out? No. Okay, what does that mean? It means you're in the wrong shoe. You want to be a lone wolf, okay? I do. And it's probably to your advantage to a certain extent, not to be in a position where everybody in the pit's long and you're long with them. Okay, because it just doesn't work out. It just never works out because when those people get out, everybody tries to get through that door at the same time and it just isn't big enough. And like I said, when all this, and there have been times in our pit, as an example, on Friday, I would guess between 87.25 and 87.20 on the way down, the pit collectively was probably long. Now these are not speculators, these are day traders and scalpers, probably long 5,000 pounds, okay? And everybody looked at everybody and said, it's time to get out, okay? And we all got out, point lower, all right? It cost people money. You gotta know what everybody else is and you don't wanna be with everybody else because when they all get out, you don't wanna be there, okay? Let's take a loss. Understand pit noise. Everybody knows what pit noise is, okay? Geez, look at all the 7 sellers. Everybody wants to sell it at 7. Is it because they're long at 6? No. When does the pit get loud? The pit gets loud when everybody's short and they offer it. Or the pit gets loud when everybody's long. And I say everybody, and it's a term that's all-encompassing and it shouldn't be, but you know what I'm saying. When the majority of the participants, with the majority of the contracts available for trade are short. If I'm short, you're not going to see me standing there going, 6 for 179. 6 for 179. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tell you what my position is. I'm going to say, sell it at 7. God, please let me sell it at 7 so my daughter can have that operation. I got to sell it at 7. 6 for 179. Sell it at 7. It means more than anything in the world to me to sell at 7, okay? And I'm screaming it and screaming it. And you're screaming it because you're short 10 at 7, okay? So when that pit's loud and everybody's like this, everybody's like this. It ain't because they're long here. It's because they're short. They're short here, they're short here, they're short here, they're short there, okay? And they want the market to go down. Everybody believes that if you don't bid for it and offer it, it'll go down. And I guarantee you that ain't necessarily true. Now what happens? The world's offering it at 7. And the pit noise is offering it at 7. And you're standing there and you're saying, well, if I had a phone on and I was talking to the desk, I would say to the desk, there's 7,000 offered at 7, and there's only maybe 300 bid at 6. Well, as soon as the first 100 trades at 7, what happens to all those offers? The revolver is bang, 7 bid, get me out, okay? Like that. So when the noise is loud and everybody says sell it at 7, there's a chance there's a rat there, okay, a dead rat, right? And you got to understand that. Because one of the things you do when you start out is you say, okay, I want to be a trader, and I want to get into the market, and I want to bid and offer with confidence. So there are 500 people offering it at 7, so I'll say to the broker, sell it at 7, like this. And he'll try and buy it from 7 guys, and he'll go, no, thanks, no, him, okay? And he'll buy the 20 from 7. You're in the market, and before you know it, you're paying 8, 9, 10, okay? Understand pit noise. People get loud when they're faking it. People get loud when they're fake bidding, and they get loud when they're fake offering. And understand that because it's important. Okay. One last thing when you're taking a loss. Make sure you know what the big dogs are doing, okay? When I say big dogs, I'm talking about big locals and big brokers. Make sure you know what they're doing. When a big broker comes out and says, sell it at 5, no number. Sell it at 4, no number. Sell it at 3, no number. I guarantee you, he's not putting a position on, and he's probably not puking out his position. He's probably processing paper around it, okay? Now, if a big local comes out and says, sell it at 5, sell it at 4, sell it at 3, what do you know from that? You know this. You know that somebody that has enough money to have a big fund or is trading cash is loading that guy up and he's trying to get out of it, okay? So if you're long, there's that puke reflex, get out. If you're short, we'll talk a little bit about taking profit later, okay? Because you're not going to be the first guy in the world to buy it. When big locals, when big dogs start going for the door, they're probably processing paper. Keep that in mind. And if they're processing paper large enough to affect price action over the course of the next few minutes. Keep that in mind. Another thing about big dogs. A lot of them aren't good fades for that very same reason. Big dogs aren't good fades because they reflect what's transpiring around them. Okay? And if it's a big dog flying solo, they're definitely not a good fade because they've got everybody on the wrong side. Big dogs make a lot of money, and they're not good fades a lot of the time. And remember that, okay? If a guy, this is another thing too, in terms of taking a loss. Like I said, you want to make eye contact. The bigger the trader you make eye contact with, the more he feels responsible for taking you out of his trade. I can't explain that to you. All I can tell you is that that's true, okay? If you make eye contact with a big trader and you're stuck and you want to sell it, okay? And you say, sell it at 4, and you make eye contact, all right? Something good will happen in terms of getting out of that trade. It just happens. But when you're trying to initiate a position, a lot of times it doesn't make a lot of sense to fade a big dog, particularly when he starts the big gap. Okay, now big gaps. Today in the bond, we had a big dog go, sell it at 5, sell it at 4. He didn't want to buy 5s and he didn't want to buy 4s. When he said, sell it at 3, he said, on your mark, get set. And if he had said, sell it at 2, you would have said, you got it, okay? Don't fade a big dog when he starts his show. You want to fade a big dog at the end of his show. In terms of taking a loss, and again, this is all in the context of taking a loss. Does everybody understand about big dogs? You know what I'm saying when I say big dogs? I'm talking about big traders and big brokers. Big traders simply reflect the action of the paper around them. When a trader, and this is 99 out of 100 times, when a large trader, a 200, 500 lot trader, starts selling it, okay? He's selling it because he's getting it. He's not selling it because he's getting out of his position. He's selling it because he's getting it from somewhere and he wants to put it out on the market and get out of it, okay? Those are pretty bad fades. And in terms of taking a profit, you're going to be slow in terms of taking advantage of that, okay? If somebody starts getting momentum up, you know, there are rules of thumb, and everybody has a different rule of thumb for their pit. In our pit, in the bond pit as an example, somebody tell me, how many ticks does it take to move 2,000 bonds in a relatively normal market? Maximum 4. Okay? If you can move 2,000 bonds, maximum 4 ticks. That means they got a big order, they want to sell 2,000. Stack sold 2,500 between 22 and 18 the other day. When he starts his show at 22, you don't want to get involved. When it's 20 sellers, 19 sellers, 18 sellers, you want to be an aggressive. You know, we talked about being aggressive offer, aggressive bid. You don't want to necessarily be an aggressive an aggressive bid. Okay? How many ticks does it take to sell 500 bonds in a bid? Typically it takes a tick. Okay? If you see a broker, now, if you see a broker sell it to a local, sell 500 to a local, okay? If you're long at 5 and you see a broker, and it's 5 sellers, and you see a broker sell 500 to a local, what is your first action if you're long at 5? You say, thanks for having me, I want to get out, okay? And you get out, and you get out any way you can. And you don't necessarily make eye contact with the broker that just bought the 500, okay? But you make eye contact with somebody and you get out. Now, the thing that happens when you're down in the middle of a pit, and this is why I'm not a real big fan of going to a pit that's well populated, when you're down in the middle of a pit, you have your sight angle, okay, and you know exactly what they're doing from there to there. But behind you, they're doing stuff you never dreamed they were doing, and it's going to come raining down on you. And those brokers aren't necessarily going to pound on you. The people that are going to pound on you are the locals that stand on a step above you, okay? So you don't see what's going on, so you're an aggressive 4 bid because the end's breaking, and the local behind you, boom, sold! How many do you want? And he's a 10-lot trader, and you know something's wrong. He saw something you didn't see, okay? So that's why you've got to be in a pit where you have a good sight angle. At night, 99% of those positions in the bond pit at night have good sight angles. You see just about everything that goes on. So, unfortunately, that's what's happening. In terms of taking a loss, okay? If you want to talk about trading in graduate school terms, okay? 400 level courses, when do I reverse? Okay, I'm long at 5, long 10 at 5. When do I sell 20 at 4 to reverse? You sell 20 at 4 to reverse when you become a damn good trader, okay? I would not recommend anybody that's just starting out, that's building up a capital base, to be a reverser. When you get out of a trade, nothing worse than being long 10 at 5, sell 20 at 4 by 10 at 5. You just turn a 10-tick loss into a 20-tick loss, and believe me, it happens. You know it happens. Everybody's seen it happen, okay? When you're long 10 at 5 until you've had X number of hours in the pit with a position on, like I said, you become an idiot, okay? So you're long 10 at 5 and you're an idiot, and you're looking for 4s, okay? And you're mad, and you say, well, by God, look at how big that 5 offer is. And it's pit noise, it's not a legitimate offer, but you're an idiot, so you don't even know that. You say, well, I gotta get this money back, I'll see you at 20 at 4. Or worse yet, I'll see you at 10. Now you're short 10 at 4, okay? 99 out of 100 times you're gonna pay 5 for that, and you've taken a 10-tick loss and made it into a 20-tick loss. If you want to reverse, you have to have a reason for reversing, okay? Who can give me 5 reasons for reversing? Who can give me 1 reason for reversing? I'm long at 5, give me a reason to reverse. Right? What's that? Could be, yeah, I don't like that. You gotta be on the screen. I don't think they play that anymore. Chart point, key chart point, yeah. I don't buy that either. I think that's bullshit. You want to trade charts, you trade in front of the screen. You're long at 5, you reverse at 4 when you see somebody shoveling 4s to the local line. That's the most obvious reason, okay? And you know that it's long because you saw them by 5s and you saw them by 4s. Okay? That's a good way to reverse. That's a good reason to reverse. Here's another good reason to reverse. A good reason for a new trader to reverse is because you bought it at 5. And you're probably an idiot, okay? And not only did you buy it at 5, the market's so good and so efficient that it knows you're an idiot, okay? And the market typically reverses, and it reverses over pre-assigned digits, all right? Now, a good reversal number in any market that I've traded is, as an example, 7 ticks, 7 or 8 ticks, okay? What does that mean? That means the market's trading 20. Now it's trading 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 7's trade, maybe a couple 8s trade. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Why? Why did it reverse after 7 ticks? Because the brave boys sold those 20s and sold those 21s when their houses went to 5. Okay? They got no puke point. And then they sold them at 24 and they sold them at 25. And then they sold a little at 26, and at 27 they wanted out. They wanted to puke, okay? They puke. So the brave boys with their big positions on, puke. I know that, I've done it more than once, okay? Less than 3 times, more than once. Okay, so I'm short at 20, 21, 22, 25, and I puke at 7. That's why I puke. That's why the market went up to 7, because I decided to get out, okay? Why did you buy 7s? Because you're a new trader. And 20s look terrible because, as you know by now, if the market looks terrible, it's going up. If it looks great, it's going down, okay? So the market looks terrible at 20. You weren't even thinking about buying it at 20. You weren't thinking about buying it at 21. You weren't thinking about buying it at 22, okay? And you're not allowed anyways. No one's going to trade with you, all right? At 23, you start saying, "Boy, I tell you what, I'd like to buy this stuff." So you bid 24 when it's 4 bid. Now it's 5 bid for 30 seconds, and you say, "I'd really like to buy it." 5 bid, okay? 6 bid, noise, noise, noise. I'd really like to buy it. 6 bid. Now, why all the noise? Because everybody's getting out, okay? 6 bid. I'd really like to buy it. 7 bid. Oh, man, I got to have it. 7 bid. Say it again. That's exactly what happens. Sell it at 7. Sell it at 6, okay? It took you 7 ticks to get the courage up to get into the market. All right? And then you're out. Now, why is it good for you to reverse? It's good for you as a new trader to reverse in a situation like that because the market tends to sway like this, okay? The market sways back and forth. Very rarely does it go boom, and very rarely does it go boom. And when it goes boom, then our statements typically go boom, okay? Because we always look for these sways, all right? The market sways back and forth. It could be 7 ticks, 8 ticks. In your technical trading classes, that tell you 7, 9, 12, and 16 ticks. Okay, at Board of Trading and bond contract. Those are reversal points, okay? Keep that in mind when you're trading so that when you get aggressive, when you really want to buy it, the reason why you really want to buy it is because you should have bought it at 20 and now it's trading 27. And you say, "Hey, get me in this parade. I want to be in this parade." We don't want to be in that parade, okay? When the market looks best, that's when it's going to break, and when it looks its worst, that's when it's going to rally, okay? So you don't want to get in that parade. And when you get in that parade, and you know we've rallied from 20 and we're trading 28, and you bought those 8s, and you have to puke, and those 7s are starting to disappear, that may be the one time you say, if I'm going to reverse, that's what I'm going to reverse, okay? Everybody understands the concept of a market, and it sways back and forth. That market, it's an animal, it's smart, and it says, I'll let these guys get short, and I'll let them show me how much courage they have. And then right about here, I'll make them puke all over themselves, okay? And then we'll go down here, and they've been short all the way up, and they don't want to be short anymore, so now they get long, and then right about here, they'll puke all over themselves, and they'll go right back like that, and the market typically goes back and forth like that. Be aware of what your swing points are in your market, okay? And trade them. Trade them like that, okay? Now remember, there are days when the market just doesn't stop. And those days are, when we talk about opening range trades, in my opinion, the strongest trade in the commodities business is an opening range trade, okay? If the opening range trade designates the high or low for the day, that, in my opinion, is the strongest trade in business. Today, as an example, in bonds, we came in, I think opening range this morning was 25, 26, now we got 24 out. That was a low for the day. But that wasn't what was important. What was important was Friday, when I think the opening range was 13, 15, or I should guess on that line, 13, 15, and that was the high for the day, and went from there. When an opening range trade happens, a lot of times, if you've got an opening range as one end of your range, and the market swings like this, be ready because it'll swing back and forth and also bang down to the next level, swing back and forth and bang down to the next level, okay? You don't care about that particularly. All you want to do is trade the market and take a tick or two out of it, okay? But you got to keep that stuff in mind because it all goes back to how do I get trades? You get trades by being an aggressive bid and an aggressive seller. Now, there's a guy that trades in the market, his name is Jim Zaleski, and he trades through Alpha. If they're 500 bid at 6, he's the lone wolf offering 20 at 7. And he's there every time, and that's how he gets his trades, okay? Now, he knows that there's a lot of noise, that's why it's bid strongly at 6, and it's pit noise, and it isn't real, and he'd like to sell 7s, and he also knows he's quick enough where if he sells 7s, okay, he knows he's going to be able to get out for a scratch. You can be particularly when you start basing your bids and offers on other markets and what transpires in the pit, you can be the offer. The whole world's 6 bid. You can be the 10 at 7. And you want to get some trades, you're going to get some trades. Because if the whole world's 6 bid and you're 10 at 7, you're going to trade with people you want to trade with. Who do you want to trade with? You want to trade with people that are initiating positions, okay? I want to trade with you because you want to trade. And you don't know that much. You just know you want to trade, right? So I got to get out of this, all right? 7 for 10, sold, because you're there, okay? Now, I traded with somebody that didn't really have a good reason for buying, okay? Except that he should have bought it at 20, and if he'd have bought it at 20, he'd have 80 ticks, and 80 ticks would have paid his mortgage for 2 months, okay? But he didn't get in at 20, so he's going to get in at 27. You want to trade with people that have a bad reason for trading, okay? I want to sell it at 7, and I want to sell it to the guy that's initiating a position. I want to sell it at 7, and I want to sell it to the guy that's covering a short at a lower price. Because once you take a loss, when somebody else is taking a loss, remember this, the same thing happens to them that happens to you, okay? They get stupid, and they'll cover at any price, okay? So those are the people I want to initiate my trades with. I want to sell it to people that are covering, or sell it to people initiating positions, or I want to sell it to brokers, because you may be a broker executing an order for the dentist in Buffalo, and he didn't know shit from Shinola, and he wants to buy 10 at 7 because his investment counselor at the country club told him to buy 10, okay? So he's doing it, you want to be on the other side of that order. There's a whole lot about taking a profit, but I tell you what, a lot of you guys are going to trade at 5 o'clock, and I think we're getting late, so. Why don't you ask me some questions? If anybody has any questions, if there's anything you want me to talk about to clarify. Yes?
What about panic?
Panic?
When you feel like you're on the edge, kind of just step back.
No, I'm not give a position on. If you're in a position of indecision, and you have a position on, remember that indecision is a decision, okay? If you have a bad position on, you want to get out of that position because you don't want it to drain your resources, okay? So you got a position on, and you can feel it in your stomach, and you say, Jesus, something's wrong, okay? Now, how do you avoid that real panicky feeling? Well, number one, when you're a new trader, you sure as hell don't trade when the number's coming out, and you don't have a position on, okay? Because that's when you move the most. You don't trade between 10:35 and 10:45 when you're a new trader because the Fed comes into the bond market and does something, okay? And you don't want to be involved if they do unexpected mass sales. And you never want to be the wrong way when somebody's going to make an unexpected comment on the news services. That's one of my rules. When you feel panic coming on, I'd like to say just step back and figure out what's going on. But I think what happens is, you know, there's so much that we don't use in terms of our talents. Something somewhere inside of you is telling you, get the hell out of this trade, okay? And do it, and just execute it and get out. So, but remember this too, I feel you have to have a reason for getting in a trade, okay? You have to really have a reason for getting in a trade. And you have to have a reason to get out. And when you're a good enough trader, you can stand there and remember what everybody's goal, okay, is to be the eye in the center of the hurricane. You stand in a commodity spin and it's a hurricane, okay? And it's going around you, but you're like this, you're right in the middle of the hurricane. And you say, yeah, I want to sell at guy 7s. Yeah, I want to buy 5 from that guy. And I want to sell 200 at 6. You want to be the eye in the center of the hurricane. You want to avoid the panic. That's everybody's goal. We have to be the center of calm, okay? The only way you develop that is with time spent in the pit with positions on. And nothing breeds success like success. Nothing does away with a feeling of panic like having enough success where you know, even if I have a bad feeling in my stomach about this trade and I want to get out, I know that that's not the end of my week. I know I'm going to have another opportunity. Huh?
No, I didn't have a question.
6 bid at 7, you buy 10 at 6. What's been happening in the bonds lately is, say, it goes sellers and it's 5 bid for 300, and you think, well, there's 5 bid for 300. 6 is my trade. I might be able to scratch this. All of a sudden, the 5s are gone. Are you saying immediately get out at 5, and then if they're gone, I mean, are you immediately out at 4?
I'm not an advocate of one-take losses. I'm an advocate of being mechanical when you walk in the pit. When I walk in the pit, now, how's this for contradiction? When I walk in the pit, I'm a new trader. I say to myself, I'm taking a one-take loss, okay? And I'm going to take a one-take loss unless the situation presents itself where I don't. What I'm saying is this. Every trade has to be analyzed on its own merits, okay? I'm long at 6. I'm long 10 at 6. I have to analyze that trade. Do I want to be long 10 at 6 or not? Okay? Theoretically, if I say I don't want to be long at 10 at 6, I'm out at 6. Okay? I can't get out at 6. Now I'm long 10 at 6. It's 5 bid at 6. I want to analyze the trade. Okay? It's 5 bid at 6. Forget about the 10 I'm long at 6. Do I want to be long at 5 or do I want to be short at 6? Okay? You're saying, you look at the situation over and you say, I'm long 10 at 6, but if I could get 10 at 5, I got a damn good chance of selling 6s and making a profit on this thing, okay? So you buy your 10 at 5. Now you're only going to get your 10 at 5 if everybody else thinks you're wrong, okay? Or if somebody else thinks you're wrong, all right? So you have to start questioning yourself then, okay? If you're long 10 at 6 and 10 at 5, if your puke mechanism hasn't come into effect, then it better come into effect. You better say to yourself, I'm going to sell 4s unless Alan Greenspan's nephew walks into the pit and starts buying 5s and 6s. You got to get out. You got to get out. The reason why you got to get out is because you were wrong. You were wrong. Now, when you bought those 6s, you have to look at it in the context of everything. Remember, I was talking about that too. Why did I get 6s? Is the rest of the world long at 6? What are the outside markets doing? What are the houses doing? Okay. Why did he give me 10 at 6? Why of all these people in the pit did he sell me 10 at 6? Why was I lucky enough to get 10 at 6? There are days, weeks, months, and years when I feel like the only reason why I got 6s is because God knew they were no good. Okay? So he sold them. So somebody sells me 10 at 6 because I knew they were no good. Okay? There are days when you're not going to be trading well. Everything you get turns to garbage. And those days become good days for you, and you exemplify a good trader when you can take those days and minify Minify your losses. That's a registered trademark of LIC America, okay? I think if you bought 6s and you thought they were okay, and you bought 5s and you thought they were okay, now it's $5 in your face, you got to step back and say real quickly, maybe I just don't have the feel for this particular market. Why don't I get out and start over, okay? So you get out. So how do you get out? See a 20 at 4? Absolutely not. Who's a 4 bid? Who needs him? Who's going to say he's the best guy in the world because he sold me 20 at 4? If I'm going to take a loss, that's who I'll take it with. Or you sell 10 at 4, see if that starts the avalanche, or you sell 10 at 4 and it's 5 bid right back in your face, okay? Have a reason for doing everything you do. How do you know you're a good trader? Here's how you know you're a good trader, okay? You buy 10 at 6. You're long 10 at 6, it goes 6 sellers, 5 bid, you're ready to sell the 5s, boom, it's 6 bid. You say, I'm long 10 at 6. I want to be long at 6. There's 500 bid, okay? The locals are short, the brokers are buying it, the outside markets are supporting my position. I'm long 10 at 6. What do I do, okay? Do I stand there and I'm the lone wolf in the wilderness going, sell 10 at 7? Excuse me. I haven't had a coffee in 4 days. I get excited just thinking about being long at 6. Do you say sell 10 at 7, sell 10 at 7, sell 10 at 7, and you're the only idiot in the world offering 10 at 7? Or do you say, okay, here's the market. You know what? I'd like to be long at 6. All I want to do is buy 6s, and you're long 10 already. 6 for 20. 6 for 20. Boom! 7 bid. Instead of puking, you take a look at the market, okay? And remember now, all this stuff has to happen fast. And the longer you have a position out in the pit, the faster it happens. Now you're long at 7. Do I want to sell 10 at 8, get out of my position? Do I want to buy 10 at 7? Well, guess what? You bid 7, all of a sudden you got 20 at 7. You got 10 at 6 and 20 at 7. You just added to a winner. What a feeling that is. That's the best feeling in the world. Okay? Now you're long 30. 8 bid. Okay, well, you don't like 8 bid because they're 500 off at 9. Okay? So you're long 30. First thing you do is sell 30 at 8 to a broker. Okay? He's selling 30 at 8. He buys 70 at 9. Okay? You're a 10 lot trader. All of a sudden you're short 70 at 9. All right? You're 500 there. Now, because you have positions on, all right, and your grandfather owned a major railway in Southwest United States, so you can afford to have a position on like that, all right? You say, I'm short 70 at 9, all right? Do I want to be short at 9, or do I say, I got 70 is too big a number? Okay, let's see. Take the zeros off. You're short 7 at 9, which seems like the national debt of Ethiopia sometimes, okay? You're short 7 at 9. Do I want to be short 7 at 9, or before I can move, do I say, okay, because I want to get out of that trade now and short 2 at 9. When you're a good trader, you say, I'm short 7 at 9, my unit is 1 or my unit is 2, but guess what? I'm short 7 at 9, and I've identified where I can get out. I know where I can get out. I'm short 7 at 9. Now, I may want to scream 8 for 7 like a banshee, or I may want to say nothing and fold my arms and see if the market starts going back my way, okay? So the way you become a good trader, and the way you know you're a good trader, is that first day you add to a winner. And let me tell you something, there are a lot of guys that have traded for a long time that never added to a winner. Now there's two ways to add to a winner. You're long 10 at 6, and you say, you know, I want to do long at 6, I'm comfortable. So instead of saying sell 10 at 7 like this, okay, spooking the market or being the only idiot in the world offering 10 at 7, and the whole pit knows that if you buy 10 at 6, they're available at 7 or 6 or 5 right away because you're going to puke. You say 6 for 10, and just because I'm short and I don't get any balls, I'll say 10 at 6. Okay, now you're long 20 at 6. 6 for 10. Nothing feels better than that. And all of a sudden it goes 7 bid, and you've added to a winner. Or you buy 6s and you buy 7s, you buy this. Ever clip, you know, to quote a guy that, like I said, I feel very strongly about, said, human nature says, cut your winnings. Human nature says, I'm long at 6, I have an opportunity to sell 7s. Give me out! Okay? That's human nature. Human nature says, ride your losses. I'm long at 6. Should I sell those 5s? You know, I sell those 5s, I lose $312. What can I do with $312? Pays my rent. $312 pays my rent. I can't sell 5s. Sell it at 4. That's $625. I can't do that. That's right for 2 months. Sell it at 3. Jesus, now we're talking over $10 million. I can't possibly sell it at 3, okay? And you're stuck. Human nature says, ride those losses. Don't do it. When you're a good commodities trader, everything you do hurts. You're long at 6, and it hurts to be long because the market was up at 9. It was up at 9, and now it's down at even. And you're long at even, and it just broke 9 ticks, and it hurts. And that pit, listen to the pit. Everybody, his brother, and their clerks want to sell it at 1. People are running. The Amish people, sell it at 1! Sell it at 1! Okay? And you're long at even. Well, until they get you out of the position, you're okay. And it hurts. It hurts to stay with it. And the first time somebody says, 1 for 10, oh, you can't wait to tear his face off and sell it to him, okay? But if you fight human nature and you do whatever the book says, you let that loss run, you let that win run, okay? Now it's 1 bid, you let it run. You want to sell it to, you've already spent the money. You allocated the money in your Christmas fund and everything else. You said, I can pay Uncle Sam, that guy won't come around the house anymore. I can sell these 3s. Don't do it. You gotta fight it. If there's a reason to do it, but remember, you gotta have a reason for everything you do. If you're standing in the pit, and I'll reemphasize this, if you're standing in the pit like a nail, okay, you're not gonna have a reason for anything. You've gotta say, okay, why do I wanna be long? Now, we've talked a little bit about the reasons why you wanna be long and you wanna be short. Outside market action. Position of the locals. What weighs the paper for? Is a big dog hot or a big dog cold? My favorite big dog, okay? What do the guys around me want to do? Pit noise. That gives it away. What's the pit noise? Keep all that stuff in mind, okay? You gotta have a reason for doing what you're doing. And again, to reemphasize, the name of this game is getting trades. You're not gonna get trades unless they know you want to trade, okay? And sometimes you have to have a crutch, okay? And the crutch you lean on is, the yen broke 5 ticks, okay? So I'll be an aggressive bid. But you gotta have a crutch. Because nobody in the world, just like you said, you buy 6s and you buy 5s and all of a sudden they're all gone. Nobody in the world knows where that market's gonna go. You have to have an outside crutch, and that'll help you bid and offer with strength. And be loud too. You know, loud. The louder you are, the bigger your pit gets. You know that. I think that would help you. The louder you are, the bigger your pit gets. Other questions?
I've got 2. First one you said would be different rankings they possibly earlier. The lower you know that will change. The second part is we.
Well, I think one of the things I was going to talk about in terms of taking a profit, no here trading case. Do I think it's going to trade the market? I think if they issue 200 indictments, yeah, it'll be plenty of room. Stay where you want. But I don't think it's going to happen in the market. I think it's going to be hard. Commodities trading is funny. I've known successful doctors, lawyers, teachers. They all, at a certain point in time, wanted to give it up and go do something else. I don't know anybody, with the exception of Rich Dennis, and I know there's a story here, I don't know anybody that's good at commodities trading that gave it up, okay? Nobody wants to leave. There's a pyramid effect in the bond pit that's incredible. I know guys that have gone and traded when they were undergoing chemotherapy because they like the trade, okay? They don't do it. They do it, no one's really. People don't want to leave the bond pit, okay? I think it's going to be harder than hell to move your way out. Now, here's what I think also, okay? I think that everybody's entitled to a spot in the pit. And I think if you wanted to make a point of going to the bottom pit and staying in a great spot, I think that'd be great. I think, though, that people in there will probably do harm to you. And they do harm to you for a good reason. We talk about transition trading. You want to make money? You make money as a transition trader. Who gives you the opportunity to be a transition trader? Large locals and brokers, okay? Those are the guys that change the market. If a guy changes the market, that's the guy I'm going to make money with. And I tell you, it's true. You get a guy here that changes the bid and changes the offer, that guy puts money in your pocket. And then, to a certain extent, you don't want to upset that. And I'm not saying you. To a certain extent, the other guys in the pit don't want somebody coming in that's a 2-lot trader standing where a 500-lot trader stands, because he's not going to give them a chance to be transition traders. He's not going to give them a chance. Here's another way to be a transition trader, okay? I'm a lucky one. I'm a big dog, okay? And I'm standing there like this. Choose! Say 305! Okay? By 50. That doesn't happen. So, 700 people scream as he's saying Charlie. Sell it at 5! Okay, now that's legitimate. That's fair. You saw the big dog take the 5s, so they made it 5 sellers. If you're smart and quick, you got a chance to sell 5s because you saw the big dog buy 5s and you knew it was going 5 sellers. You want people like that. You want targets. You want targets around the pit with the targets on their chest because you want to be able to trade on. Do I think it's going to trade? No. It change. I don't think it's going to trade. I think it's going to be hard to get a good spot in it. I really do. I think, though, you have more opportunity now in other pits than you ever did before. Now, what do I think about the mid-am? I think anybody that makes money in the mid-am is either the luckiest dog that ever lived, or a speculator, or on his way to becoming a speculator along the lines of Rich Dennis or Tommy Lewis. A mid-am is a hard place to learn. Now, I know from a financial standpoint, it's the easiest road. It's the easiest place for you to start out, but I'm telling you, it's hard. It's hard in there. Why is it hard in the mid-am? Who are you trading against, boys? Yeah, you're trading against your friends, right? Okay? Now, in the mid-am, to a certain extent, it's a zero-sum total game, okay? Fortunately, I mean, if the locals are winning, their locals losing. Mid-amers are trading against arbitrageurs now. Are they trading, arbitrage guys, what are they trading against? Well, they're selling 7s in the mid-am when there are 500 offered at 7 in the bond pit, and in the opinion of the broker flashing information back to the desk, it's probably going to go 6 sellers. So that's when the mid-am broker says, 22 at 7, okay? Or they're selling against cash. Now, if they're selling against cash, and they're doing it in the mid-am, they think it's such a great sale. They probably got the same offer, half the size in the bond pit, and they're just saying, see if you can give me 22 bonds sold. Try and do it at the mid-am or at the board, okay? Because whoever buys those 22 bonds is a mid-am, all right? You're trading against people in the mid-am that have a tough time losing. Same thing I think is true about our silver pits, some of our smaller precious metals pits. You're trading against guys that are arbitering against New York. That's a hard way to make a living, fellas. It really is hard. I think you can learn a lot in the mid-am. You learn how to bid and offer, you learn how to take your losses, you learn how to card, you learn how to be vocal, you learn how to bid with authority, because in the mid-am, you really are trading against that screen, okay? Everybody in the mid-am says, you're trading against that screen that says what the big bond is doing, and you're trading against that screen that says what cash did 45 seconds ago, okay? So when you do the mid-am trade, you do it with authority. I think if I was at the mid-am, the thing I would probably do is I'd try and trade the mid-am bond contract as an example against another contract. I'd probably become an absurd spreader, trading mid-am bonds against Swiss. I think there's a guy in there that makes a living trading bonds against Swiss. I'd try and do something along that line. It's a hard way to go. And I tell you, if you can go through the mid-am process, and after 6 months you say, you know, I really think I know how to trade a little bit now, I guarantee you'll find somebody down here who gives you a little money to get into another pit. Because the mid-am is a hard place to learn. Hard place to learn. Any other questions?
Looks like that.
Mike Manning. Mike! He's not here right now. He's a pet guy that told him.
What did you do to the beats?
Tell you, I had some pretty good success in the beans. I had 2 big months back to back, and I like to spread. But you know, in the bean pit, 100 lots is kind of a big deal, and a 200 lot is huge, and a million lots incredibly huge, okay? Well, when I was in there, it was a big deal. I mean, if I had 400 beans on, he's got 400 beans on, okay? 400 beans, lose 2 cents, you lose $8,000. In bonds, if you go like this, and you trade big, you can lose $8,000. That cost you $8,000, okay? The dollars were different. the overall dollars were bigger in it financially because the tick was 31.25. I was trading 500 bonds, so I was trading for 16,000 bucks a tick. And the beans, if I traded 200 beans, which was a big number, okay, you're trading for $2,000 a tick. So if you had limited success in either pit, and I've always had limited success, my limited success was more profitable in the bonds than I was in the beans. Now, it gets me back to a point that I was going to talk about in terms of taking profits. Who's a better trader? The one-lot trader that trades 100 a day and makes 30 ticks, or the 10-lot trader that trades 10 times a day and makes 30 ticks? Who's a better trader? The one-lot trader, I think, is a better trader. I think the best, probably the best small trader in the world is sitting in this room. Okay? But if I had my wish, he wouldn't be a one-lot trader. He'd be a 20-lot trader or a 50-lot trader, then I could borrow millions from him. Remember now, if you have the principles down right, okay? If you have a low peak point, you know when to get out. The principles are the same if you're long 10, 20, 50, 100, maybe up to 100 or so, okay? Or if you're long 1, the principles are the same. It takes less to make more when you're a larger trader. I'm the only guy that's going to say this, and the clearing firm's going to hate it. I believe with all my heart and soul, bigger is better in the commodities business. The larger you trade, the better it is for you, the more profitable you are. When you trade one lots, no matter how loud it is only a certain size. When you trade 10 lots, that bit gets bigger. When you do a 50 lot and you're loud and you know what you're doing and you do it with confidence and you handle it, your pit's huge. And you trade 100 lot and they look for you, okay? You can be in the bathroom and then be screaming, where is he? Where is he, okay? Your pit gets huge. And when it comes down to percentage of trades that are profitable, if I'm a 50 lot trader with discipline, and I lose on 20% of my trades, and I make money on 30% of my trades, and I scratch 50% of my trades, think how much more money I make than if I'm a one-lot trader. And more importantly, think how many more good trades I get if I'm a larger trader because I'm selling him 20. He's 7 bid, okay? 7 bid. 7 for 275, all right? And he's slowly getting hit now, but I sell him 20, and because he's a broker, he pays 8. To me on the balance, okay? I get better trades when I trade larger. If he's 7 for 100, you sell him 1, he's not going to buy 99 from you at 8. It just doesn't happen. The larger you trade, the quicker you can get your size up, the better you are. And remember this too, okay? You're a scalper. What is a scalper? All a scalper is somebody that stands next to some brokers, okay? And you say, okay, you're nice and you're brokers, but guess what? I can fill your orders better than you, okay? And over the course of the year, I'm going to make a whole lot of money because I fill your orders better than you fill. Now, what does that mean, okay? The market's 6 bid at 7. You're a scalper, okay? This broker buys 50 from you at 7 because he has an order to buy 50. A little while later, you buy 50 at 6. Now, if he had nothing else to worry about with that 50 lot order and knew the market as well as you did, he wouldn't have paid 7, he'd have squeezed it and he'd paid 6, okay? So what you do is you fill his orders better than he does. The bond pit, more so than any other pit in history, okay, has brokers that have huge decks that have incredible size to them. Now they give their customers good fills. They give their customers fills at the offer and fills at the bid like they're supposed to, and a lot of times they give them better fills than that, okay? But they have so much to do that they can't squeeze every order. So they buy 107, at 500, buy 100 at 7, but it stays 7 sellers now. It's bigger 7 sellers, bigger 7 sellers, bigger 7 sellers, bigger 7 sellers, and the local lady bought the 100 from buys 100 at 6. Doesn't seem like much. One trade, $3,100, 600 grand a year, okay? Multiply that times 2 trades a day. That's not a bad living, okay? All we are as scalpers is we are competing with brokers to fill their orders better than they can fill them. Now, if I'm competing with you and you're a 100-lot broker and I'm a 1-lot scalper, I really can't do a job competing. I can't, okay? But if you're a 100-lot broker and I'm a 100-lot scalper, I can fill your orders as good as you can and still make enough to have a wonderful house and a wonderful car.